I just start. I like the funness of like, I don't know. You guys are OG podcasters, so like my favorite part of podcasting was the brokenness of it. Mm-hmm. Like in the like your podcast is pretty produced, but like you didn't know if they were starting or not, and you'd hear the guy off mic twice. Hey, where do you like? Old Marin was like, hey, what? You read that book? And you're like, all of a sudden you're drawing a picture in your head of Marin's garage, you know? Right. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, totally. We used to hear it a lot more. We used to joke that people would leave their sound running and get the door for UPS, and you'd hear the entire interaction, and they wouldn't cut it out. And
one of my favorite parts of Rogan's old podcast, the iteration where it was at his house, was he had a landline. And every now and then the landline would ring. And I was like, get me that fucking number. I would love to call in and just know I was the one that called in. But we were talking before we walked in about other podcasts. I have the ones I'm into, and I'm very guest driven. So like if a guest is on the podcast, I'm like, cool. So then they hit me up and they're like, Keith and the girl. Anyone who knows anything about podcasts knows you guys. I mean, I say that across the board. You guys are first generation, I would say.
Yeah.
Like when people...
Yeah.
No. I remember where I was when I saw your podcast. I was in my apartment. This is before I had a house. My buddy Matt said, you should start a podcast. I just listened to Ricky Gervais's podcast. And I went, what's a podcast? And he pulled up and he went, he's like a tech guy. And he goes, oh, this is Keith and the girl. They're really great. And I clicked on it and I started listening, and I was like, yeah, that's too professional. I'll never be able to make that. Like now I look back and I was like, oh, all I had to do was fucking get a couple mics and upload it. But what year did you guys start your podcast?
2005. It was 13 years ago.
Jesus.
Yeah, we have almost 3,000 episodes because we record 5 days a week.
You do 5 days a week?
We put out 5 days a week, 1 hour every day. And now we have a new one that we started in January. So now we have a Saturday one called My Opening Line. I know everyone looks at us like that, but it's, you know, it's so much fun. And I know that ours is a little more produced, but...
it's produced, but it's still a podcast.
It's still conversational. It's still what a podcast is. It's still like, we don't have anyone, and this is what we were drawn to, of course, in the beginning, and what I think everyone's drawn to. We don't have someone going, you can't talk to your guest like that. You can't bring up that question. Yeah. When rape is brought up, just change the subject. Like, if you half bring up a story, even in a joke, like Keith will bring up people's Twitters, like, oh, it seems like you have seasonal depression. Let's talk about that.
No, I became like, so I started listening, and obviously guest driven. Any of my friends that were on it, like Soder, Ari, any of my friends on it, I would listen to those, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is really different than anything we're collectively doing.
Those guys are super fun too. You know,
they're really fun. Yeah. But so then I said, all right, like I know Nick Thune really well. That was very recent. I think you did that like last week. Yeah. So today on my jog, I was like, I want to see how they interview Nick, and it was awesome.
Thanks.
Then I go, all right. I listen to Nick. I did a 2-hour jog, and I go.
Did you do a 2-hour jog?
Yeah. But we don't even get into that. That's another fucking. You know, we'll talk about that on your podcast.
Okay.
And then I listened to Jessica Michelle Singleton.
Crazy, right?
Right. And I'm like, I'm tweeting her questions like, where did you go to college? Like all this shit, and I'm like, oh, you guys do a much better job at and then I'm at lunch with my wife, and she's like, who's Keith and the girl? My wife just started a podcast. Okay. But she started because she was looking for something to do. She wanted to be creative, and it was a great outlet for her, and she feels fantastic about it. It makes her feel, it's everything that when you first started the podcast, you felt about yourself. When you started going like, hey, I got an email from Switzerland. Do you remember the early days?
Oh my God, crazy.
So just in case there's someone who's going, whoa, OGs and podcasts, walk me through the very beginning, the iteration of your podcast. The very, very first.
Okay, so Keith was doing stand-up, but he wasn't doing it like everybody else was. He was only doing it once a week at this open mic that I frequented. I was singing.
What was this place?
Surf Reality, it was called.
Okay. Upstairs?
Yeah.
Yes, did you go?
Oh, I used to do Surf Reality. Oh my God, 2005? Was Faceboy running it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I ran into Faceboy filming a show, and Faceboy, I was like, Faceboy? And he was like, by the way, I was just one of those guys that would go in, do stand up once a week at Surf Reality and Collective Unconscious.
Yes.
2 places.
I love those spaces.
I met Brody Stevens at Collective Unconscious.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I met Barry Katz's ex-wife, Suzanne Susanna, I forget her last name, big redheaded lady. Not big, like, but just very tall. Sure. Met her at Collective Unconscious. Reverend Jen.
I met Jeff Ross. He went by Jeff, then Jeffrey, then Jeff. I was on Comedy Central with him because I met him through Surf Reality.
Wait, what did you do on Comedy Central?
I sang for, I don't know if you remember, he had a song called He's Got a Little Penis.
Yeah.
And he would rap about his little penis.
So wait, when did you start doing stand-up?
I sung about his balls. And, I came to New York in 96
From where?
From the country. Close to Pittsburgh, but the country. Like,
really?
Yeah.
His next door neighbors were farmers. I grew up in New York, so I'm like, look at him.
He has such a distinct New York throat on radio.
Do you know how that happened? He's such a weirdo. Like, he's from the country. He should have a country accent, like from the middle of Pennsylvania, Nowheresville. So he has that. You'll hear it a little bit because he has like this weird speech impediment. And then he listened to too many Dice recordings.
Can I tell you? I thought it was Ron Bennington.
Really?
Because you have a real distinct, you have a great radio voice, like a great radio voice. Meaning like, they'd say to you when you first came in, you got good chords.
Right.
But and I was like, you have a great way of snapping words, almost like a towel in a locker room, that make the sentence bite when it's an innocuous sentence.
Like a towel in a locker room. It's Keith and the girl.
Like a bully on someone's ass.
So wait, you came out to New York. When did you come out to New York?
96.
So wait, were you doing Surf Reality in like 2000?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I was doing it in 96, I think.
I was doing it 97, 98, 99.
Could we have known each other?
Can I tell you, I really want to stop trying to connect dots because you would have just hated me. Like I
hated Keith when I first met him.
I was the guy that was going up and I was doing the kind of material I would do right now today, but it was the wrong audience. And people hated me. Like they would be like, people would come up and say, "Hey man, why don't you just do comedy clubs? This isn't for you." And I'd be like, "I can't get up at comedy clubs." And like there was no one.
We should describe Surf Reality to people. If you don't know, you missed out on an era. Am I right?
It was cool. By the way, it was cool. I was not accepted in either place, in either community. I tried to make friends, and that just didn't happen because I was a little different. I was a frat boy, and it's not a frat boy place.
It's not. And Keith had a little bit of that vibe also, and he didn't make as many friends as I did. I was on the friendlier side, and I wasn't doing comedy, so it was a little easier to navigate.
Yeah. So describe Surf Reality.
Surf Reality. Oh my God, I'm not going to call it a mistake, but it's an interesting place to bring someone to. And one time I had a visitor from Israel, and I was like, well, this is what I do on Sunday nights. I go to Surf Reality.
Sunday nights.
And that night, I mean, this is you literally.
She sees death every day and was shocked at this place, right?
Well, you literally get to do whatever you want for 8 minutes as long as you don't set the place on fire. There's weed smoke in it. And this is, back in the day, 20 years ago, you weren't allowed to smoke anything but weed in the space. Some people were doing heroin in the hall, but that's different.
I'd bring a 40 in.
Yeah.
I'd bring a 40 in.
That was Keith. Oh my God, you guys would have been best friends.
Do you remember the guy? Hold on, not to interrupt. Do you remember the guy? I'm not a good interviewer like you guys. Do you remember the guy that did stand up in a Klan outfit?
I don't remember that guy.
There was a guy who came in and he had a Klan outfit on. And he did stand up in a Klan outfit. By the way, this was, and I have to say this, one of the most creative, very funny dudes. I think he was a writer. He had I'm so specific about this. He had a bit about going to see his family in Japan and talking about the toilets in Japan that was such a beautifully crafted bit. I remember being like, this guy's going to be a star. He also did stand up in a Klan outfit, and all he talked about was his experience in New York of how he had to get a Klan outfit dry cleaned, and it was so. But that was what went on there was just bizarreness.
And let me be clear, this is back when we hated Nazis.
Yeah, right.
So he really was pushing it.
When we weren't electing them. Yeah.
So keep going.
So you got to do anything you wanted. I would, riff music and songs, and I would just kind of make up songs on the spot. I would sing, Aretha Franklin or whatever. And on this night that I brought my friend, this woman who was like, I'm an artist, I'm gonna draw for you, and I have my period. And she got on her knees, and there was a canvas in front of her, and she pulled down her pants and her underwear. She stuck 2 fingers, the fingers that you assume. She stuck them right in her vagina, pulled out blood. I want you to guess what she drew.
I'm gonna say
people have guessed correctly before.
I'm gonna say a crucifix.
Oh, that's
okay,
a good one.
all right, that's a good
What's
one.
the other thing? When it's
Yeah.
never a crucifix.
When it's never a crucifix, a heart.
A penis.
Oh, she drew a penis.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Out of vagina blood. Yeah.
Well, vagina was a big thing, right? One woman wanted to be a chicken and hatch an egg from her vagina, and then she forgot that it has to be hard boiled. So it came out.
It cracked before it came out, and I saw it like just kind of make its way. She had to go to the hospital that night, but these guys were super pro. She came back next week, boiled egg in her vajayjay, and did it right. And I believe that she got the set that she wanted.
Who was the guy who was trying to relive Evel Knievel stunts and was doing bike jumps?
Hank Flynn.
Yeah.
Did a couple things with him. He's a super tall guy, and
Yeah.
he would say, "Meet me on the Lower East Side. I'm gonna jump my bicycle over a garbage can."
Dude, it was such a cool, and then like, it's so, I came straight out of being a frat boy. I was the number one party animal in the country by Rolling Stone magazine, and I'm talking about fraternities where the word faggot was thrown around so callously. The N-word was tossed around so callously. Growing up in Florida.
Honestly, even 10 years ago, it wasn't as. We understood that we were saying a swear word, but it wasn't this. It wasn't segregated as a swear word like it is now.
And I walked right into Surf Reality, and my eyes were open. My first show I went to was Stella. Do you remember Stella with Michael Showalter and Michael Ian Black and David Wayne? That was the first show I saw, and I saw Janine Garofalo on stage, and I was blown away. I was like, whoa. Second show, then I said to people, I hung out around there, ran into a guy named Jordan Rubin. He said, you got to go down to Surf Reality so you can get stage time. So I go down to Surf Reality that first Sunday.
You got 8 minutes. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that bizarre?
Yeah, it is now.
The point I was going to say is I ran into Faceboy on the street. I was filming something for Travel Channel, and I recognized him. I was like, Faceboy. And by the way, he never knew who I was. And he was like, yeah. And I was like, dude, I started at Surf Reality. Like, hey, just thank you or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I'm shooting something, man. This is 2016, maybe 17. And he goes,
that's not long ago.
I'm shooting something. And I go, oh, cool. And he goes, hey, would you mind standing at the end of the street and calling me a faggot? And I was like, yeah, I actually mind, man. I was like, things have changed for me. I was like, I'm not doing that. And he was like, all right, see you later, and just walked away. Becky Donahue, do you remember Becky Donahue?
Oh yeah.
Becky Donahue. It's amazing the jokes that you heard once that stick with you forever. I'm gonna tell you the two jokes that I remember from Surf Reality and Collective Unconscious. Becky Donahue had a joke that said, Becky Donahue was Reverend Jen's roommate.
I didn't know that. No, were they roommates at some point?
I almost want to say 100%.
Okay.
What's Becky Donahue doing now?
I don't know. We haven't talked to her in a long time.
Becky Donahue said, "Did you ever sleep on your feathered pillow or your down comforter, and then you get up and you got feathers on your clothes, and you're walking in the street and you see the feathers and you're like, oh, I know what everyone's thinking. Look at her, chicken fucker." That was the fucking joke. And then the other one was there was a girl who married a guy. Now the guy was a guy who didn't do stand-up, but he'd read out of a book that he wrote. The girl's really pretty and the guy was really tall. They got divorced. They probably got married in 90.
Bob Powers.
In 97. And the girl was beautiful.
Yes.
She's from the Midwest.
I'm forgetting her name. Bob Powers and someone.
And the girl's joke, I remember the girl's joke because I was like, this is before I think the concept of women aren't funny ever was brought. I'd ever heard people say that. I never heard people say that until I got into comedy. And her joke was, I'm from a small town, the kind of town that when your sister has a problem, she just goes, oh, fuck it, I'll just get pregnant. and I remember going like, oh, like that's cool that, like, I don't know, really opened my mind. Sorry for that rant. And by the way, everyone from Surf Reality they're like, dude, they talked about you on Bert's podcast, and they're like, fuck that guy. So you started out there and you were doing it once a week.
Yes. And I liked it. I don't know if I had more of a stand-up bug than that, but I like that.
You like that?
Yeah, so I saw him do stand-up, and I laughed at his joke, and then immediately was like, whoa, am I a bad person? Because I just laughed. It was very interesting to me to respond to his comedy, because it was, like you said, it was, very together vibe, like a very hippie space. And he was talking about, completely dismissing women on
place
dates.
was woke before you were even rubbing your eyes.
Yeah, that's a really great way to put it.
Yeah. So, but I was like, I don't know. I really like that he's saying it. I really like the perspective, all this stuff. I mean, I didn't even have those words to say that. I just went, I got to talk to this guy and see what he's really like. And I spoke to him. We ended up hanging out and we started dating. And we did the podcast when we were still dating. And then one day we broke up.
Sweet. Start back at the dating.
Yeah. Why?
You start dating. How long did you date before you decided to do a podcast?
Not long, like a year, maybe.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Now, who did the technological research to do a podcast?
LOL.
Right. You went to a Radio Shack or that kind of thing, and you guessed what equipment you might need, and
there was no
saying,
podcasting.
okay,
what was out? What was out in 2005? Ricky Gervais?
Not yet. No.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. It's got to be the Podfather. What's his name? Mark Curry.
Oh, Adam Curry.
Adam Curry was.
Mark Curry, I think, is a black comic.
Yeah.
Adam Curry was, and he was busy stealing our show and putting his tags into it.
Adam Curry
Really?
pretended like he was the Podfather. He named himself the Podfather, but really he was trying to capitalize on little people like us at the time who were just trying to turn on mics and post and be what podcasting really is. He was a big dirtball, and then we got our hands on one of the contracts that he was giving to a bunch of popular podcasts at that time, and we read it and called out what was wrong with it because he was trying to own your show. He was trying to take away what podcasting is.
Yeah, he made it evil.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was making it evil. Yeah.
Jason Nash had Guys with Feelings. Do you remember that?
Jason Nash.
So Jason Nash is a really interesting story to make it very quick. Jason Nash was married to a big executive at Fox, right? He's a comic, actor.
He's been on the show a couple of times. He's awesome.
You know him, right?
Yeah.
And then started a podcast, Guys with Feelings, way before podcasting, like right around when you guys were doing it. I remember I had one daughter. I had one daughter. It was just when he got married. And this was back when you could talk shit. You would talk shit for really about people, going, they'll never hear it.
Right.
And then they'd hear it, and then they'd talk shit about you, and you'd be like, what the fuck? and then
like, first of all, why didn't you tell me you listen?
Yeah,
you're my best friend.
Yeah.
Secondly, now you owe me $20. This is all good news.
and so then he stopped doing his podcast. Just it was like, there's no payoff. And then he got into vlogging. And him and this guy, David Dubrovnik, now have a very popular podcast called Views. Mm-hmm. But he's now one of the top vloggers, and he makes over $1 million a year vlogging. So he's an interesting guy. He got a divorce, had like a second birth in his life. It's been a fucking interesting guy to follow. So you guys start very, very baseline. You're dating, and then how soon into the podcast do you guys break up?
It was deep into the podcast. It was...
Did you think about stopping?
We had to check in with each other. It was. Do you know the answer?
We debated about it without words.
Well,
we were thinking like, hey, we were thinking it, and we mentioned it once. I think
we had to consider it at some point. Well, we broke up, and like an hour later, we did a podcast anyway. It was the thing that kept us together for too long. We should have broken up a year or two before we broke up.
Yeah.
And the thing is for 23 hours, we were lukewarm about each other. And then for 1 hour, it was like, you're so funny, and we were having a blast, and we have this really good connection on air. And then the on air would turn off, and we would kind of turn off. And then eventually we were just like, you're still here.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Except when we were on air, it's like, oh shit, you're here. This is great. So it was very confusing. I think, and we both admit we were way over. Sometimes we think we shouldn't have dated at all, but at the end of the day, it was just a fun time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had a partner in my podcast. Like I was just recently thinking, if I had a partner, I bet it would be better. Like my wife today was like, I was talking to you guys, and she goes, what questions do you have written out? And I said, none. She goes, you should prepare for it. And I was like, why? She was like, that's how I do my podcast. I go, honey, I've been doing a podcast for a long time. And then she's like, what questions do you have? And I was like, has there ever been a guest that you had on where you could tell that he already was turned on and you were like getting a little jealous, but you guys have been broken up for a while? Second question.
Actually, there was one time where we weren't doing an official show, but sometimes we would just turn on the mics and just kind of talk to our listeners and have like a chat party.
Yeah.
And we had a couple guests in the room just hanging out, just friends, and a friend of a friend was there. And we were still dating at the time, and she was heavy flirting with Keith.
Really? Who is it? Do I know her?
What do you mean, really?
No, it was just
a
was
guess.
like a girl who grew up with a friend of ours. It wasn't, anyone in the industry or anything like that. And I was like, all right, I usually ignore that stuff because I'm like, you're making a fool of yourself. And also, I mean, go for it. See what happens.
I know where this goes.
Right.
I don't give a shit. But then
Anyway, Ashley Olsen, by the way.
Then I believe she sat on his lap, and I was like, "Girl, you are so pathetic
Well,
right
they
now."
gotta sit somewhere.
Yeah,
Right.
All these people in chairs already. Where do I sit?
It was my fault for not being unique about the approach for where she should sit.
Yeah, just be
So now she's like whispering in his ear. I mean,
to talk to me and not disturb other conversations. I assume.
And so all of a sudden, I'm just like, "Do you think that no one can see you?" And I just and of course we're on, and then everyone's like, "Oh my God, I thought Chemda was a nice person." I'm like, this is ridiculous. You're sitting on my boyfriend's lap, whispering in his ear as if I can't see you. I can see you. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You're still gonna go with this line of pretending because." We're on air, we're recording this, everything is against you right now for your line of bullshit. She just kept going with it, but that was
But Chemda's cool that we're married now.
that she yeah. At least they're gonna have the best babies.
Wait, who got divorced? Was that
I got divorced. Yeah.
from that girl?
No.
Or no,
From a different girl.
I totally cock blocked him from that. Sorry, buddy.
no. What are your rules? Like how? Like what
To
are
be
you?
with me, you have to want to stay with me. That's my number one rule.
Did you get divorced when you were sober or drinking?
Drinking.
Really?
Yeah, but with that said, I don't think we would have been together. It's not. I don't think drinking.
You don't think the
it
drinking
couldn't have
helped?
helped, but I don't think it.
But how bad was your
ruined it.
drinking?
He was the second party animal next
For
to
real?
you.
I enjoyed it for sure. I'm sure I was in like some denial about it ruining the next day. I just got too old where the hangovers aren't worth it.
Why don't you tell him about when you shat on the couch at Mohegan Sun?
Okay. So funny. People tell me their bottoms always, and I was like, I have not been there.
That wasn't even his bottom.
You know what, Chemda? Why don't you tell him about?
Wait, you shit on the couch at the Mohegan
Chemda's
Sun?
impotent.
I'm hard right now, bro. You want to see?
We were Chemda and I. We were dating at the time, and we went. She was in charge of. We would do adult and kids parties also, and for this one, she was in charge of an adult party. And in charge of dancers.
It was like a convention that they were doing, and we were like hype dancers, So I hired like 10 dancers, brought them to Mohegan Sun, and I'm gonna MC with a DJ.
Yeah,
we're all having fun, everybody.
Yeah, and she probably called me the camera person with an iPod,
I'm just trying to get what I would do is we would do kids parties, and whatever party I would be like, oh, you want to hire 3 of my friends, and I'd make up jobs and be like, we can
And you
handle
just
this.
really quickly produce a kids party.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I just dance around with everybody. I'm just drinking. And then after that, I meet her brother was also there. And,
What's your brother's name?
Well, they
Daniels.
changed their names to Michael and Andrew, but they had unique names like me.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Because
Ever since the couch situation, they had to change their names.
they changed their names to Michael and Andrew.
I know, yeah.
Why would they pick those?
Because try saying Chemda all your life.
By the way, I'd said it all day jogging because I was like, I'm not gonna fuck her name up. I'm so obsessed with how racist I just look, like just by being what I am. Like it's. Finish the shit story and then we'll go into this because there was something that happened last night online that I've been fucking obsessed with. But keep going.
Okay. What? Okay. I'm so excited. What you're obsessed with. So
I know I want to interrupt this conversation so many times. Okay, go.
we're drinking a lot, and then I go back to find. I'm terrible at directions as it is, and I'm seeing triple. I can't find the hotel room. They won't tell me the hotel room in the front, so I go back looking again. I have to shit so bad, but I'm too drunk to think there must be an open public one downstairs. So I keep trying all these rooms, 230, 320, 013. And then I'm like, I got to take a shit. So in the lobby, in the floors lobby area. By
the elevators, there's always a sitting.
Yeah.
Can look like a living room sometimes next to it because you're in a zhuzhy hotel or whatever.
So I go, all right, I'm going to take a shit on the couch. And so I pulled my pants down, started taking a shit, and I'm like, this is so fucking crazy. And the shit knows it. It's playing turtle. And then when it does come out, before I was necessarily done, I'm like, what would happen if I get caught? This is insane. So I put my pants back on, knowing I still have a little left in there. And then I keep trying to find the room, and I go back down, and I go, you got to tell me what my room number is. I just don't remember. And they go, well, I can't tell. 230. Like they smelled me. And shit got shit done. And then I found the room. Did they call you?
I think they might have, and I knew you were coming up. You sounded super drunk. He came up, and I thought he was sick. See, I didn't understand alcoholism completely.
Is it alcoholism, though?
If we keep doing it too much all the time, yeah.
If he's drinking 40s every day, like 2 of them, where that's always in our recycling... You know, if you want to do
if I'm taking
he's doing his own math.
I took a shit on the couch.
40s. I consider that a little healthy.
I think if you take a shit on the couch.
If you take a shit on a couch.
And you go, and you don't go, wonder what the limit was.
Yeah. I think it's interesting the way I find alcohol and we're doing your podcast after this, correct?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about this, I'm sure, on your podcast.
Okay.
But I think it's interesting what people consider their limits and the way alcohol affects people differently. Like it's so funny. I know a guy who just, if alcohol enters the system, he's a totally different person. And you go, well, then you should know immediately that's not meant for you. If you'd like the person that you are sober. And then there's people, I think, you know, like myself, who it actually doesn't change at all. It just is a health thing. Like you go, I'm not being healthy. You know,
I think that was kind of like, I mean, Keith has to speak to his own alcoholism, but he was a happy drunk. Everyone liked him that way. I would guess it would be so difficult for him to stop because, like, if I knew he was drunk, because at 2 a.m, we'd get a text going like, "Oh, I just heard our show. You're so funny." I'm like, "Yeah, drunk Keith." You know, it's just like, "Oh, when you said that was funny." I'm like, "Yes, he's so nice."
Oh yeah, we're going through. My wife's reading a book about narcissism right now, and. I just put on my Insta stories, but she said, she was like, I wanted to read this to you. And there's a chapter and it just has a B next to it. And I went, are you highlighting sections for me? And she was like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? I was like, wait, you're not reading this for you? You're reading it for me? She's like, well, I'm reading it for me because I live with you. And I went, I'm not a narcissist. Like I definitely have hints of narcissism. I'm not like a narcissist. I know I've been around narcissists. But man, I got big fucking hints. Like I was going through it and I was like, oh, that definitely applies to me.
Yeah.
So, but what?
I think you can have narcissistic tendencies, especially if you're a person who has a mic in front of them all the time, you know. Yeah. But I think there is a difference between a full-on narcissist.
Is all your stuff named after you with your shirt off? That's question number 1.
Say that question again, because
everything that you make and create, is it your name and with your shirt off?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, see number 1. You, before the show started, you were saying how you have horrible diarrhea. You don't know how? Because I've never met you before. I know how.
No.
Okay, it's from drinking so much.
No.
When's the last time you had a solid dump?
Solid? Oh, it's like it's well. There's a lot of factors. Uh-huh. I have an addiction problem, not even with booze, but with food. Like really bad. Like really, really, really bad. When I shit, I do everything a little bit obsessively and aggressively. So like when I shit, I say that I shit the same way a bouncer kicks drunks out of a bar at 2 a.m. Like as I sit down, I go, and it's happening now. And I push and it just goes poof, and it hits the wall. And that's how I shit. I don't ever go like my wife sits down and just goes, you don't see her face doesn't change or anything. She just lets it come out of her body. How do you shit?
Standing up.
You do not shit standing up.
I know I shit all right. When I was drinking, it was nasty shits. And yeah. So it's...
But okay, what's your diet like?
It's not. I can have more salad, but obviously stopping drinking. My
Hot sauce
shits are nice, better.
Hot
a lot
sauce?
better. I'm not a hot sauce guy.
Okay, that's another one of my problems. I cannot not put.
But why do I
habanero
feel like you'd be on
peppers.
your 7th tequila going, I got to watch out for hot sauce?
Yeah.
That's sriracha.
Yeah.
I did have sriracha last week. I wonder if that's kicking up now.
No, but that'll kill you. There are some times where I ate Indian food or Thai food that was so bad. I was already like, will this be worth it tomorrow?
Oh, I do this to myself. I had to, so like I had like when I did my last special, I wrote notes to myself throughout the month leading up of things that I know have happened to me on stage that ruin a set that are not things that you'd think would ruin a set. For instance, eating popcorn the day of your show. So like if you eat popcorn during the day of the show, sometimes on stage you'll find a kernel in your tooth and you'll spend the whole show going like this. Right, just trying to get it out. So I was like, no popcorn day of show. I take my shirt off on stage, obviously. So I was like, make sure your chain that the clasp is in the back, because sometimes the clasp will be on the side, and then the cross is on the side of my chest, and it just distracts everybody.
Right.
Make sure there's no lint in your belly button. Make sure your belt loop is your belt buckles in the center, because it's just little things that I go, these are all the things. One of them was don't have hot sauce the day of your show, because despite me doing stand-up for 20 fucking years, just last week in fucking Salt Lake City, I do the fucking Buffalo Wild Wings challenge the morning of the show, and I'm like, and I know that it's gonna ruin my show. I know that I'll be on stage feeling really sick, but I can't help it. I can't. It's like impulse, and fucking, and even the day of my special.
Because food doesn't taste like food unless you add hot sauce to it.
I made steaks last night, and I sliced up serranos, and I put it all over my steak. Serrano peppers are so much hotter than jalapenos, and then this morning just rifle shit out of my ass.
Yeah, peppers especially, because even peppers that aren't hot will fuck you up.
Hardcore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So wait, when you quit drinking, your shits were like perfect?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's it. I didn't drink. I haven't drank in the last 2 days though, so it can't be that. I'm drinking tonight. I'm definitely drinking tonight. So
It could be. It could still take a second.
yeah,
You didn't drink for 2 days. And
Well,
you're counting today.
I don't drink. I know I didn't drink last night or the night before, but I do count like I only drink nowadays. I don't drink in LA unless it's like part of work, you know. Like tonight I'll probably drink some, doing a set at some club and then at the store, and so I'll probably you end up hanging out.
Yeah.
So
I'm not your doctor.
you're telling me how to solid up my shits. So last night, this is the thing I saw online, and I wanted to talk to you about this because I wanted to be very careful saying your name, because do you know Ethan and Ela Klein? They're from H3H3 Productions.
Yeah.
They do a podcast. They're big YouTubers, but they're really interesting. And I kept fucking her name up, and at a certain point, when you fuck a person's name up, you just sound racist or that you don't care. Am I right?
I give a lot of passes because I grew up in America, and it's we don't have this letter that's my first name, so I get it.
Oh wait, there's a full different letter that's your first name?
Well, Chemda, there's no ch in English.
Do you know
so-
that alien symbol on your phone emoji? It's like, where does this go?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you say cha.
Really?
Yeah.
So were you born in Israel?
Yes.
And your family came over here?
Yeah, crazy stuff. My parents didn't speak any English, and they had 3 kids, ages 6 and under, and they just got on a plane and came over. I don't know how foreigners do it.
I don't like, and you're from I'm more probably like you integrally. I think we both you're like 43?
Yeah, 44, yeah.
44, 45, both white guys. I didn't come from privilege, but I kind of did.
Right.
You know? But like I look at people's story of struggle and just go, yeah, I'll never understand that. Like the idea of having 3 kids, putting my kids right now on a plane and going, hey guys, we're moving to Israel and let's see if we can start fresh.
Right. Let's learn the language as we go. Let's fill out paperwork in some other foreign language. Let's deal with the kids now speaking a different language to us. You know, it's crazy.
And what was it? Did you ever hear your parents just going like come home one day and be like, fucking Puerto Ricans, have you discovered Puerto Ricans yet? And you're just like, what? like hear them talk about, because there's nothing, and these are the things that I think that no one's talking about, but there's nothing but Israel and Palestinians in Israel, right? Israelis and Palestinians in Israel.
Well, that's the thing. Israel is kind of like America, where there aren't really, like, if I go to Israel, people won't say, where are you? When people ask me in Israel, where are you from? They don't mean Israel. They mean that I'm Iraq and Iranian, because that's where my heritage is from.
Hold on, you're not even Israeli?
Well, I was born in Israel, but in Israel, no one, like, the country is so young.
Just answer the question.
So this problem we're going through in America, where people say, so where are you from? And people go, San Francisco. And you're like, no, with the fucking eyes. Where are you from?
Right. Yeah. Well, we know better than to be like Israel. Well, I know to say Iraq and Iran in Israel.
Really?
Yeah, because they're looking at my face, and to you guys, I look like I'm from the Middle East. To them, they can decipher a little bit more, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking fascinating.
I'm so evolved, I don't even see her.
I'm a ghost to Keith.
Can I tell you, this is not even secret time, but real truth.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to the point where I try not to acknowledge visually people of color so that they don't think one thing or the other. I do the same with women, because it got to a weird place that if you like acknowledge people, or if you try to like say hi or smile, that it became an assault, you know, like just saying hi to someone can be construed as negative, or like talking to someone. That I just shut off. I shut off totally. And when I'm in public, I don't talk to anyone. And I used to be so gregarious, but it's such a slippery slope these days to just talk to somebody. This
is what's sad, because I am hearing this from a lot of cis straight white men, right?
Yeah.
So I understand, like, you guys have just discovered a struggle.
Dude, by the way, can I tell you, we walked out of Black.
I'm not shitting on it.
No. We got out of Black Panther, and I said to my daughters and wife, I wish they made one of those for white people.
Oh God.
And my wife was like, are you fucking serious? I said, well, no, that would be so cool. Like the way everyone kind of rallied around the black experience. That's really neat. I wish they did that for white people. I know. I'm just telling you who the fuck I am. Like, I'm a regular fucking person. I'm not.
Let me ask you this.
Go
as
ahead.
soon as it comes out of your mouth, do you like sense something?
As soon as I said it, and everyone in the car was like, it's called Superman. I went, oh yeah, you're right. Like I went, yeah, you're totally right. Like I didn't think about it like that.
I don't even know superheroes. I could name more than Superman, where it's all about white guys.
Oh yeah, no, but can I tell you though, I'm not, and this is what I think some people connect with me on, is that there's no hate involved. There's no anger involved. Like I wrote a joke today. I'm going to tell it tonight. I'll see if it gets on stage, because I was listening to your podcast, practicing your name in my head, and I at one point I went, I think this is actually racist for me to be so focused about her name and not worry about Keith once, and go like Chemda, and then I go, I don't want to add too much of a ch to it, because then it sounds like I'm mocking it. Mm-hmm. Like, and then I was like, because I'm going to fuck her name up, but Hila, it's Hila. It's an Israeli name. Hila.
Oh,
Hila, or I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But then it sounds like someone's calling me Brent, and that Brent or Brett, and they just keep fucking my name up. And at some point, you're like, they're doing this on purpose. Yeah. So I wanted to do that, and then I thought, you know what? Don't even say her name. Don't even fucking say her name. Just call her the girl.
Don't get to know her.
Yeah, and then but then I said, I wonder if that's why they called it Keith and the Girl, because everyone couldn't pronounce Chemda. And then I started going, and then I translated from that, and there's the joke I wrote. A girl was walking up, and one girl smiled at me, and I smiled back, and I went, "No, don't do that. We know better than that. That's like that. We're past that." Because I can't do that. I can't walk past a girl and smile at her, because then everyone like, "What? Are you fucking catcalling me?" So then I said, "Ooh, what if I just did the opposite?" And the next girl walked by, and I looked at her, and she was really pretty, and she went, "Ugh." And I was like, there we go. That's the way you work it. Let's fucking put people down, as opposed to like, because I'm the kind of person.
You don't really believe that, though.
I really believe.
I know you always look at the glass half full.
I'll tell you what I believe.
What can we say nowadays, Bert?
but by the way, you joke about that, but that's because we are in the elite East and West Coast. There's a lot of people in the center of the country that are really lost. They are really lost. Mm-hmm. Like, I would say something to you if we were at Starbucks. This is how my personality used to be. It's changed a tad bit. I would say something like, you have beautiful hair.
Thanks.
That's how it should go. But in LA, when you say that, or say someone like if I see anyone with dyed hair, because my daughter has dyed hair, I go, I love your hair. Like, and so does, excuse me? And then you're like, oh, fuck, I shouldn't have spoken to you.
Well, stop making the peace sign right in front of your mouth when you say hello.
But it has gotten to a place that it's kind of a little fucked up. So what happened last night online, and this is what got me in this spiral. This girl, I don't know if you saw this, but this girl wore a Chinese, traditional Chinese dress to her prom. Did you see this?
No.
Go ahead.
Did you see it?
No, but I heard something about a racist dress.
Okay.
So this must be it.
So it's cultural appropriation. So she wears a dress, and then she says, "Hey guys, I'm 17. I'm not going to apologize for this." On her Twitter, "I'm not going to apologize for this. I didn't mean any harm to anyone. I just thought it was a beautiful dress." And which, by the way, she did look really pretty in the dress for a 17-year-old. I know that you can't say that anymore, but like she did look pretty.
I love how you say all the things that you
You're doing
think
okay
you
so
can't
far.
say, and then you go, "I know that I'm not supposed to say that," and that makes it better.
Yeah,
Right.
But she did look really nice in the dress.
Right.
It was a really cool picture.
In 1
He
year,
doesn't even
hot as
see her.
hell. But right now, I don't even see her.
And so
That's how you Woody Allen it. We fell in love that day on her birthday. We got physical.
So then this guy, I won't call him out because I don't believe in public shaming, but he public shamed her. He's an Asian guy, and he said, "My culture is not your fucking prom dress,"
Okay.
because he's Asian, which is, I think everyone would irrationally agree with these days. 150,000 people liked his tweet. So 150,000 people agreed that this white girl's not allowed to wear an Asian dress to a prom.
Isn't it interesting that 150,000 people are taking a shit at the same time? Isn't that something?
Oh, did you find it? Okay. Oh, this is exactly. Okay. Oh, this is a great job, Halston. So then a couple people do a deep dive on his Instagram, on his Twitter,
And it's his dress.
and it turns out he's a racist as fuck.
Yeah.
He's been dropping N-bombs, like I'll say the N-word. I know you're not even allowed to say the N-word, because that is in effect a pass at saying the actual N-word. It's a workaround that white people have created to
Okay.
Well, only to reference the word, you know, because you're not going like, "You're such an N-word." You know what I mean? Like,
no. Yeah, but it's like the news says the N-word, and then you're like, "No, you should say the word. You're making me think it." That's a Louis joke. He's like, "Why are N-words so fucking loud?" That's what he wrote. And he's like, Chinese toddlers are way better than those white-speaking English devils.
Oh, boy.
And by the way, he goes through it. And so I was curious as a woman of color, and I think I can say that to you, right?
sure.
What are your feelings on cultural appropriation?
So I think there's a really thin line. I think the line is between appreciation and appropriation, right? So I think if you're wondering why can't I do it, you have to answer that question before you do it again, right? So if this woman wore a Chinese dress and she's white, and 150,000 people are going, "Hey, you can't do that," then you do a deep dive. Why can't I do that? What is bothering people about this? Because what I think is, I'm taking a style and appreciating it on my body. I think it looks good on my body. I think I'm representing it like, hey, this is a Chinese dress. I'm not calling it anything different.
It's not Halloween.
It's not Halloween. I'm not, putting on an accent while I'm in this. I understand the giving it a pass. So the problem is, and I don't know how
And
to.
she flips to the second picture. It's her doing the eyes. Like, oh, I see.
Well, the second picture is definitely her going da-na-na-na-na-na.
With the hands together.
It literally, it is.
No.
There's a picture where everyone's throwing up gang signs, and she's bowing like a Chinese woman. By the way, I don't want to slam this little girl either, but I will say, and by the way,
Well, we got to slam somebody, Bert.
it's the Asian kid.
All right.
He's fucking, anyone who just says, "Why are N-words so loud?" You're like, hey man, I don't think you're not beating around the bush. There's no irony in this joke. But keep going.
So that's another part of it. So you just said you flip a picture, and she is making fun of the culture. So what she's doing is taking something that has been marginalized, taking something that is for example, when we say white trash, do you know that we're not allowed to say that, right?
Hold on. No, I did not.
Okay, because what's the difference? What do you say? Black trash? Do you say Asian trash? White is so dominant and on top.
Oh, I love. By the way, my dick is hard in this conversation right now. I love shit like this. Okay, keep going because my wife's family is white trash. Keep going.
Okay, so and I married into complete trailer trash. So I fucking love it.
Me too.
Love
like what from what
all their
from
meth
what state?
stories.
From what state?
Actually from around here, from Anaheim.
Oh,
from
wow,
Kentucky. There's Kentucky in there.
Yeah. Did they make dressing at supper? Did they call it supper?
Oh man, I don't know.
You had supper?
Yeah.
So wait, you're kind of white trash a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, for real?
My town doesn't even necessarily have a name. I'm from Somerset, Pennsylvania, which is, again, close to Pittsburgh, but the country. And then there's Bakersville, but I'm actually between the two spots.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you did you have a gun in your house growing up?
No, but we're the only ones. My dad was a legit Catholic priest before he got married.
Your dad was a Catholic priest?
Yeah. I met my mom by blessing my grandma's house. Felt something.
Wait, was there an exorcism?
He wanted to. No, it's just a house blessing. I think it was a new house, and he was just there to bless it. And I guess there were stars right away. And then they dated once or twice. I know he had a big conflict of interest, of course, a big crisis of faith. And then he said he tried to apply to be in the military, to be a chaplain overseas during, I believe, Vietnam. He was hoping that he would die. That way he wouldn't have to deal with his feelings of my mother.
Whoa.
That's God for you.
Then, of course, spoiler, that he did stop being a priest, got permission, can't be performing as a priest anymore, and then raises kids. And he was always, there's 5 of us, and he was always upset with all 5 of us. And it has to be a big part, I think. You used to have the power to take sin away from people, to make people go to heaven, and now you're wiping an ass.
The power to take. I forgot that they had that power.
I could make sure that you go to heaven, no matter what you did in your past. And I've read the books. And now I'm just changing a diaper like a piece of shit.
Oh,
That'd be a trip, right?
Your dad was the last generation of straight priests.
Yes.
Like that was when it was noble to be like, I'm going to become a priest. Yeah. And then there was this like switch over of like, I don't want to give in to what my heart's feeling. And I have faith. I want to go to heaven. And like, I think like, it's funny because the priesthood has dropped drastically. That's a stat I just made up.
I was going along right with it.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Like you never see nuns anymore. You see nuns all the time. Crossing the street in New York. Mm-hmm. You'd see a nun crossing the street. You don't see any fucking nuns. You see chicks holding hands though. So
I think you're on something.
So let's go back to white trash. So saying white trash is implying that all black people are trash, but there's only a small margin of white people that's trash.
In short, yeah, like there's the
that's fucking brilliant.
But it makes sense, doesn't it?
It does,
because we as a people in America take white cis straight people as these are the regulars. Right? Like, because if you tell a story, you won't go, this white guy told me blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
but if there's a black guy in the story, you will now.
I will. No, I've always have. And I would always tell you he was black if it's important to the story. If it's not important to the story, I would never say it.
I say Asian. If it's not important, I go.
I mean, if it's not important, I just don't tell the story. Oh. If his skin color doesn't make the story, why would I tell the story? Like there's a story I'm telling on stage right now about this black kid that works at Starbucks, but it's important that he's black. If I don't tell you he's black, then the story makes no fucking sense. If he needs to be white, I'll let you know he's white. But maybe you're right. Maybe I slide it in that he's white in a more it's understood subtle way.
Well, generally, even if it's not you specifically who goes out of his way for storytelling purposes, you've thought about it, you write things down, you know, it's generally we go, hey, the guy, blah, blah, blah. But if they're a different race than white, then it all of a sudden you have to describe the person because our default is white.
Our default is white.
Yeah. So that's why. So back to the Asian dress.
Yeah.
If you're suddenly, making Asian quote signs or pretending like you're Asian because you're wearing this dress, but you're saying that you appreciate the culture that it came from, you're not.
Okay.
So that's where it comes into like, if if in this country certain cultures and certain groups of people that we decided were in that group, you know, like we definitely put people into boxes. If we decide that they're going to be in that box, but we're going to take their culture and once we wear it, it's cool. That's the also difference. So let's say hip hop is, you know, for gangsters and for criminals, and everyone who's in it is like a bad person, and monitor them and pull them over and all this shit. But then all of a sudden our kids are wearing baggier pants and quote hip hop clothes and, you know, are appropriating it. They're not going to jail for having saggy pants. They're not being looked at. They're suddenly, you're saying, when a black kid is wearing those clothes, you know, kind of monitor him. When a white kid is wearing it, it legitimizes the culture in some way or another. It washes it out, and it says this version of it is okay because it's on my white kid.
Yeah, but no, I understand what you're saying. I think my problem is, and I think it's probably more of a question for Keith, but like, because we are just white dudes, but like, I love. Did you like hip hop growing up?
No, I found it corny.
For real?
Yeah.
What did you listen to?
I hair metal.
For real?
Yeah, and I once it started being gangster rap, I needed people dying, I suppose, but that's when I liked it.
Oh, I loved hip hop. I was explaining this to my daughters yesterday. I'm not going to say this right. One of my daughters is really into anime. The one with the dyed hair is into anime, and the other one is just like kind of like more of a. I'm not to say that people that are in anime are not cool. I don't know what's cool really for that age, but my other one's not into anime. And there's this type of anime person that is frowned upon, like a fan of anime. It's called like an ABBA or something. And my daughter said, you can be into anime, but don't be an ABBA. And I went, don't do that. I was like, don't tell her that whatever she digs isn't cool. Whatever you dig is what you dig. You can't help what you dig. And I said to them, I loved hip hop when I was in like 8th grade. 8th grade, 7th grade, it's right when 2020 did the whole thing about breakdancing. And that's how I discovered hip hop. Called my cousins, they turned me on to hip hop. And when girls would call my house, remember back in the day you had a stereo that had 2 tape decks in it? I would have hip hop in one, and when they called, I would switch over to UB40 and play Red Red Wine so that they thought I was cool, because I didn't want them to hear me listen to the Fat Boys. But that's what I liked. And I'm ashamed that that's who I was, that I was afraid to tell everyone who I was. But I've always been into hip hop, and I think part of me would argue that cultural appropriation is what makes America great. Like there's a shirt that Middle Eastern men wear, Muslim men wear. It's like white. It's got no collar. Got a couple buttons. It's got like pleats right here, and it goes down to your knees. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I love it. Yeah,
it's my favorite thing in the world.
It looks very Buddhist in a way.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
I'm sure that's racist to say because it's just it is what it is.
Yeah, and so when I was in Zanzibar, I had a fixer there, and I said, I want that shirt the guy's wearing. He was like, why? I said, it just looks cool. It looks cool, and it looks like I'd be comfortable. Like, it looks like something I'd love to wear around the house. Like, on a Sunday, put it on, eat pizzas, watch TV, no underwear. It's kind of like a muumuu, but it's like, looks cool, you know? It looks badass. So he got me one.
And I'm wiping sauce on it.
Dude, I have so much food on this fucking shirt. There's ice cream all over. I was like, I bet not a lot of Muslim guys get ice cream all over theirs. And
definitely not meat and cheese.
And then one night I was like, I'm going to wear it out. And my wife's like, you're not wearing that out. You just look like you're making fun of them. I go, but I'm not. Like, I like this shirt. I like it. I think it's a cool shirt. She's like, no, you look like a fucking jackass. Don't wear it out. So like, what line do we... Like, I don't bend my hats. I like a flat brim.
Right.
That's cultural appropriation a little bit, right?
I guess when a black guy could wear the shirt that you're wearing and we don't get worried that he's wearing a hoodie, then you can wear other people's shit.
Wait, so then black people should not wear like collared shirts because that's white appropriation?
No, because white appropriation is what they've been forced to do. So it's not appropriation.
So when you started dating her...
Yeah, a lot of thoughts.
Like what was that like? Because
we couldn't use words. You think it's only getting worse? That means it was worse.
There was there an awakening for you? Like because you seem like someone who's kind of dialed into a little more than the average white guy. Cis. The idea that you've used cis now twice, I'm like, okay, she knows what she's.
Right.
She's Like when you started dating, was there a part of you that you were watching a Steelers game and you said something and she was like, hey, can you not use the word faggot? And you're like, wait, I grew up with that word.
Do you know it's not made out of real pigs and pigskin is offensive too? No, I think all of us we're just learning more and more. It sounds like you're thinking, like you're hearing the PC thing is getting out of control. What can I
definitely think
right?
the PC thing is getting way out of control.
I almost find it, don't you find it like a fun challenge when you write? Like, all right, let me find a new angle to come at you fuckers.
No, I don't have a problem taking away words. Like I don't have a problem not saying words that make people's day feel shitty. I have no problem with that. I think it's a little ridiculous that only one side gets to be right. That if you are conservative and you do believe in guns, then you're automatically wrong. I think that the fact that the left is that you can't fail on the left unless you take a picture with the head of the president. You can't fail on the left. Like I think that's a little ridiculous. By the way, I'm liberal. I'm very liberal. I don't. But I do find like everyone I grew up with just shuts their mouth now, and that's not healthy. You know?
What?
Just shuts their mouth. They just go, you know what? Fuck them. And like it's part of what's happening to me is I start just staying away from things like staying away from a conversation. Our friend just found out she's black, right? She did a DNA test. She was adopted. She just found out she was black. I got so excited. I wanted to have so much of a conversation with her, but it's in a room of liberal Hollywood, types. And I thought, don't even get involved because the things that you're excited about are not what the room's going to be excited about. And just shut your mouth and don't say anything in those situations,
I understand that. And that's a shame.
It's a shame. That's all I'm saying is it's just a shame.
But here's where it's not a shame.
Okay.
So you're not going to have...
She tricks you sometimes like that, right?
Yeah.
Whatever you have to say, I'm on board. Well, okay, then. Here we go.
I understand that because I've been in that position where I'm just like, I know that that I'm not on top of this subject as other people, and I'm going to come off ignorant.
That's it. That's a lot of my fear, and I'll say fear, is that you don't. Like, I'm just not on top of it. I don't know what's going on.
And you feel like you can never be unless you really study it. You feel like everyone's studying it, and then you're sort of backed into a corner.
And you're not a little bit wrong when you're wrong these days. You're all the way wrong.
Because you have offended people, and that's the most wrong that you can be.
Is continue.
Yeah. So I think the reason why people keep getting upset in your direction and people who look like you is because
at white guys.
At white guys, but it's like you said, white guys who look like you look like you're in a frat.
I look like I'm homophobic. Number one, I have a joke that I don't tell, the opening of the joke was and this is true. I used to work for a company at Florida State called Safe Escort. My job was to walk women across campus so that they didn't get raped. And as soon as I say that, everyone laughs, and because they look at me and they go, "But you're the rapist." And so you go, "Great!" And I know you. And by the way, I know that laugh is involuntary, but even just saying that, I've never raped anyone. Not that I'd come out now and say I did, but clearly that's not me. I've only had sex with 6 women in my life.
I mean, that doesn't make it clear, but okay.
No, but I mean, I'm not very sexual. I have a hard time kissing girls. That was my big problem. Anyone listening to this podcast knows this, but
it sounded like this was just Cosby's defense, but all right.
Right.
I don't even like sex. That's what he said.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Then why did he do it so much?
Because I like when I just do it. I don't like the act of sex when they're both into it.
Oh, for real?
That's what I'm guessing.
So he just oh my God.
And then
are you just realizing how sick Cosby is?
No. I just tapped out. When I heard that, because I knew there's the other part of the thing. You're getting me to spiral out. The other part of the thing is that I was well aware that guys roofied girls because Hugh Hefner used to do it. Slip them a Mickey, get them to loosen up. I'd heard that before. I'd heard CeeLo Green said it's not rape if they're not conscious. These were all very common things that these older generation of men just believed. So when I heard that, I went, of course he did that. I just went, of course he did that. Why wouldn't he do it? He's a man of power. He just assumes this is how it gets done. But go back to the thing you were saying about white guys. Being a white guy, when you look the way you look, people assume you're racist. They assume you're sexist. They assume...
So the reason, so I think I was saying the reason why it's like, oh, we're not going, that's really hard, even though I understand it, and I understand the corner that you feel backed into.
By the way, and just to be clear, I don't really feel totally backed into a corner entirely, because I kind of, stand-up wise, I don't even talk about any of this stuff. And it doesn't really apply to me because you can kind of bubble yourself out where you don't have to deal with any of it. You can do that in society. Stay offline and you never bump into any of it.
Well, okay, but so here's the exchange is, let's say you're talking about a gay guy growing up in what we know as life, right? We're in our 40s.
Yeah.
And
our experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he had to do all that backing into a corner all the time. So everything that you have to think of, like, oh, I can't say that word. I can't walk into this space in this way. These guys won't accept me in this room. You have a handful of those, right? Like Surf Reality was a little,
couple.
You had to navigate.
I'm well aware of my privilege, but yes, you're right.
So for gay guys, every room that they walk into, it's changing now, but like you said, the South, the middle, there's parts of our country who are missing out on the news of this. Every space that they walked into, they had to think about what they said. They had to think about how they interact with you. They had to think about their speech and the way that they talk, their pronouns, so that you don't know, so if they're hooking up with someone, they're switching it to like tell you that it's a girl. So it's all this stuff that they had to keep recognizing growing up. Now you guys, if I can call you guys,
please,
for the first time have to think anything remotely close to this. That's why everyone's like, hello, if you wanted our experience, you're now getting a hint of it.
I do.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I wish there were more people like you in the world to express those feelings with that kind of like almost welcoming. Because like I don't mind taking back, like you said, taking the challenge and taking back and allowing people more freedom and to blossom.
But look at the throne that you even sitting on, just saying those words. You know what I mean? It is in your hands.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've learned that. I've learned that by me, like Todd Glass was the first one. I've said the F word now. I only say the F word because if I say the F word, everyone thinks it's
right,
fuck.
I know.
And I only say it on that purpose. But
there's the R word now too.
Well, the R word, my buddy just got in a lot of trouble for it.
I grew up in Queens. The R word was like every other word.
Yeah. And
by the police?
What?
How'd your buddy get in trouble?
Yeah, by the police, technically. By 100,000 people signed a document to try to get him kicked off at Netflix. And it really, his joke was, what they did was they took his joke out of context. I mean, I'm speaking for him and I should not, but I'm just speaking, this isn't a private conversation. This is what he shared on Rogan. Okay. But they took his joke out of context and then posted that online. And then 100,000 people signed a petition and it's still an uphill battle, but his joke wasn't mocking anyone. It's just, he used that word and now he's in trouble. And I'm not taking that side. So the comparison, I don't think you are. The comparison here is, it used to be you found out somebody slept with a dude and it was a dude, like had a gay relationship of any sort, and boom, 100,000 signatures, get this guy out of our lives and away from our children. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's hard. The reason why people are getting mad is because they had to live that. And as soon as a white guy has to live a piece of it, they start going, I can't even say hi to chicks on the street. And so it's like, at least understand why people are mad. And then, we'll like, that. But then could you understand could you understand possibly why does put people in a place where I go, I don't make eye contact with anyone anymore.
Of course, I think
it makes it a little easier to navigate life, to just kind of get in your own bubble. And when a girl smiles at you, just frown at her and go, you're not allowed to do that. Like, this is not where we are. But that's not where we are, because a smile is like, by the way, I have had friends that catcall, and I've witnessed it not growing up, but starting stand up in New York, working the door at the Boston Comedy Club, hanging out with black comics catcall like a motherfucker. Patrice O'Neal used to enjoy it, like used to.
I mean, are we taking Patrice O'Neal as like the epitome of what how guys should treat women and men and everyone?
No.
Every sweet story, being in New York, every story from a comic about Patrice that they thought was nice was always about him being shitty.
Oh, I will tell you.
Everyone.
Did you ever meet Patrice?
We never really met Matt.
He was not, like, people love him. They celebrate him now. But trust me, if you met him, you would not like him. Like, he would not let you like him. And like, I remember one time we were sitting on the stoop of Boston Comedy Club. I was working the door. It was him, Bobby Kelly, Jim Norton, and I want to say like another guy. I forget who it was. And a girl walked by, and Patrice was like, "Damn, bitch, you got a fat ass." And she just looked at him and like kept walking. And I go, why would you do like? But I grew up. I mean, I'm not gonna go and try to pick apart catcalling, but I grew up in Tallahassee or in Tampa, so there was no passerby. You never saw foot traffic, so you never really had an opportunity to catcall.
But
really.
What's like the frat version of doing that?
There wasn't.
There wasn't like a.
You would never. And I'll tell you why. You're going to have a field day with what I'm about to say. Catcalling is simply how poor people communicate. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with what race you are. It's socioeconomic. And when you don't have a lot of self-esteem, it's hard to put yourself out like that and go, I find you beautiful. I'd like to take you on a date. Oh, where would you like to take me? I live in my grandmother's basement. Like, oh, it's easier for them to do a Hail Mary pussy pass and see if she wants it, and then that's how she gets it. Like, rich people don't catcall. Like, there was no catcalling in wealthy society. There's no, at a golf club, a guy's not like, "Damn, bitch, you got a fat ass." Like, it just doesn't happen. If you have money, you have self-esteem. If you have self-esteem, you walk up to someone at a bar and you go, "Hi, my name's Bert. You look beautiful." It started a conversation. It's a bit I was working on. Mm-hmm. The idea was, my wife said it's stupid. Why would anyone do it? It doesn't work. I go, clearly it works. Clearly it works.
Right.
Clearly there's women that it appeals to, because you wouldn't do something that doesn't work. You don't go fishing and show your tits at the water and go, "I hope the fish jump in the boat." Or you go fishing or put your dick out and go, "Hey fish, look what I got." You throw a hook in the water. Now the hook doesn't work every time, and I'm certain when that hook enters the water, there are fish that feel threatened and feel like that hook makes them feel unsafe. But there's one fish going, "I'll suck that hook," and that's why we do it every time. Now that was my argument for catcalling, was that it's socioeconomic. I would never do that because that was not how I was raised. I would never do that, because if you want to talk to a girl, you go up and you say, "Hey man, my name's Bert. I think you're beautiful. Or I'd like to take you on a date." Or, "Hey, you talk to her." You would never be like, "Hey, suck this dick, bitch," and then her go, "Huh?" And go, "Smile more, motherfucker." Like, that just didn't happen.
I say, "Hi, I'm Keith. I think you're pretty. I'd like to get to know you." Smile.
Smile.
Take care regardless.
Yeah. But so there was no real equivalent to that in a fraternity. I think it was boys of privilege who felt like if they wanted to meet a girl, then they could just go and talk to that girl.
I never really thought of that. Frat guys have a terrible reputation beyond catcalling.
Well, there was also, they'd roofie them. There was also a lot of, rape, and I'm sure I've never heard a story of that, but there was no catcalling. That just wasn't.
So you're asking me how I feel. How do you feel that your people are known as rapists? How do you feel when if I was in a room alone with you and we just met, I would have to think about, are you who are you?
That was an eye-opening, and this is one of those things that Keith was bringing up that I do applaud. So there was a hashtag #YesAllWomen, right? Mm-hmm. And immediately I always read those things. I feel the instinct, the gut reaction, where I go, I go, not all men. Like, that's it. And then I go, okay, that's an idiotic. Clearly, there's someone's making a point. Right. Let's reverse engineer this and look at it from the other side. And so I go through and I read all the women's tweets and I try to like learn from it, right? Because ultimately I'm only thinking about trying to write a joke. And everyone looks at me and they go, well, of course he thinks that. What if you come up from the other angle? And one of the things that blew my mind, it's so simple, it's so stupid, it's so silly, was yes, all women feel threatened when they order a pizza. That like just the idea of ordering a pizza and by yourself and having this man come to your door and like look in and see no one else, that can be a scary situation. And that flipped everything I knew about any of that. So to answer your question in short, I don't know how to say this properly. I see all men as threats more than I think the average man. I see all men as the dirt they've done more as the average man, because I do meet and greets. The number one thing, this is like the number one thing in a meet and greet, I do it shirtless. Women, if they touch you, always, without question, always ask, can I touch you first? They always go, hey, is it okay if I touch your belly? And I go, yeah, of course. Do you mind if I want to give you a kiss on the cheek? Would that be okay? And I go, yeah, of course. Guys will put their finger in your belly button hard as fuck and think you like it. And you're like, bro, don't fucking do that to me. But that's men. That's
right. Now imagine if I go, bro, stop doing that to me. I get called a bitch. You know?
Oh, yeah.
You're so sensitive. It's just your belly button. It's not even your tits. And I'm like, just touch my tits.
Yeah. Men will grab your ass. Men will kiss you. I had one instance that really fucked me up. Is this big guy, tough guy, backslapper. I hate backslappers. Yeah. I hate guys who slap you on the back. By the way, I am all against toxic masculinity. I may look like I embody it, but no one's more against it than the dudes that had to grow up side by side with these motherfuckers. My whole fucking life, I'm a regular guy, and you just get dudes in the shower, taking a shower in high school, just start pissing on you. And they're like, take that, faggot. And you're like, hey man, like I don't like that as much as the women that don't like, I don't like any of it. And so like they're always the guys that are like, you're not doing your push-up right. You gotta go all the way down. You're like, dude, leave me the fuck alone. At least I'm trying. But like there was a guy I was in the military, and when I was in infantry, the guys just loved to fight like it's all they knew.
Yeah. So you need these animals over there, but they are, hey Malley, all of a sudden we're wrestling. It's like, you're a pretzel now.
You're a pretzel now. Dude, those guys that would come into our fraternity house at like 2 a.m, shirt already off, yoked, and be like, all right, spread the couches out. It's going down, Fight Club. And you're like, not Fight Club, because that didn't happen yet. Thunderdome, let's do it. And you'd be like, I just want to walk away. I just want to walk away.
Could you walk away?
No. First of all, I'm a man. But that's part of how I was raised. I didn't ask for this. Like I didn't go like, I wouldn't like turn 8 and be like, hey man, can you teach me all the hate words? And then be like, oh, of course, I didn't know you wanted to. Fuck yeah. Tell me all the things I can do to make life difficult on everybody.
So then when that guy came in and was like, we're fighting, you're like, fuck, I gotta fight now?
Yeah, you're like, oh my God. My first thought, by the way, this happens so much. My first thought was, please don't hurt my teeth. Like I have crowns, veneers, and bondings, and I'd be like, please don't fuck with my teeth. Please. So I'd be so protective of my teeth. And then you'd be like, just give up. Like, just let him win faster. I don't care if I lose. Like, I don't care to win. But then there is a toxic masculine in me, where if I did feel like he was doing something, I have a real hair trigger with bullies, like real hair trigger, where
if he went for ear flicking, you'd go.
I'll tell you a very private story that everyone's gonna love to hear.
I knew we'd get secret time.
Is this on my podcast or yours? So, I have a friend who made a joke that I was going to give $10,000 to a charity after I ran the marathon. It was a joke. I made fun of him, and then he was like, he pretended in his Instagram that I would give $10,000 to a charity. That I said I'd do if I could run the LA marathon with no training, then I would give $10,000. it pulled such a trigger in me of bullying. And he's my best friend. And I never even told him this. I have never said this to anyone. I would not give that money. I would give money to my own charity if I wanted to give money. But the idea that someone would tell me to give $10,000 to something, it pulled, and all my friends started joking, and we were texting, and they're like, fucking, you're in for 10 grand, buddy. It was a joke. By the way, I have the money. But it was such a fucking weird thing of like, no one tells me what to do. Like it pulled such a natural trigger in my id that I just stopped texting about it. And I was like, I can't even play this game, man. Like, cause I don't feel like it's fun anymore. I feel like and so like, there's a part of me that like, I remember getting in a wrestling match, 2 a.m. at our fraternity. And, the guy was, just saying shit to me that made me feel like he thought he was a bigger man than me. And it fucking pulled out some Hulk shit. And I got him to a place where everyone was like, do not fuck with Bert. Like I lost it. I lose it. I can totally see red. But like I didn't.
Is it funny? The irony is that's when you keep your shirt on.
Yeah, no, my shirt was definitely off in this. But there is like this part of this toxic masculinity that like I grew up side by side with. Mm-hmm. I never loved it. I had a joke that I said on stage that really, by the way, I've said the F word so many fucking times in this podcast. The day I learned the F word, 3 brothers held me down and tried to put an ice cube up my asshole. So like, I didn't ask for that. Right. Like I didn't ask to learn that word, but that's how I learned the word. So like, there is a weird part of this that, I don't know, to get.
I learned all of this also, you know that, right? Because I grew up with the same thing as you, except I was on the other side of it. So my parents would tell me, hey, guys are going to be after you for sex. And they were right? Like as soon as, guys get a little bit of leeway, they're trying to grope you. And so they were coming at me and, whichever way, adults, kids, as
That's
soon as
that really bothers me.
Yeah, but I get it, as soon as you grow boobs, guys get a little bit confused. And so I was very used to it. And then, but what was my point here? So I got the same thing. I grew up with Middle Eastern parents. What are you crying about? Don't cry. So like I got masculinity thrown at me, but it was very strange that I also wasn't the female they want. They don't talk to me anymore. So I wasn't the female that they wanted. You don't talk to parents anymore? Yeah, not for a long time. Really? For years, yeah. They just don't agree with anything I do.
Hang on, there's my daughter.
Hello, daughter.
What's up, baby?
Hello. I have to walk to my friend's house.
Go ahead.
Wait, shut the fuck up. Wait, where's your friend at?
She lives right next to Dakota.
Do we trust her?
The friend that you're walking there by yourself?
Yeah. Mom said it was okay.
That's good.
Okay.
You want me to bring you your phone?
What? Yeah, bring me my phone and I'll track you on Life 360.
Hi.
Oh my God, this is why I'm not a good parent.
Sweetie pie. How old is she?
13.
You know what? That's amazing. I only saw her for 1 second, but I would say you should feel very lucky.
Yeah.
That's an actual genuine smile on that 13-year-old's face.
She's a very, very happy kid.
Yeah.
It's called white privilege. It is. It definitely is. That kid doesn't know struggle at all. That kid's never struggled a day in her fucking life. The biggest struggle is she thinks the world's perfect. She can walk to a friend's house. She doesn't realize all the murderers out there. All right.
No murder.
Okay, listen.
Don't go down murder path.
When you hit the button, just because you hit the button and you see the other light turn green, remember some people turning left onto the street.
Are you telling your 13-year-old how to cross the street?
This child is, yes.
No, she's not a child. Bye.
Do you know about birds and bees? All right.
Text me when you get there, baby, okay?
Hey.
Don't talk to anybody.
Ever.
Do you want my Glock? My gun? Okay, I love you.
If a dude smiles at you, go, ugh.
Yeah. If anyone smiles at you, do not smile back. There you go. Perfect. Oh my God, I'm starting to sweat.
What a cutie pie.
Well, I would too. Traffic goes both ways, right? Over here.
You really just said that.
Oh my God. Oh, I love that you just as a hair trigger, you're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Oh my God.
He almost took his shirt off.
Jesus Christ. What were we talking about?
Kids knowing
We're talking
best.
about how guys are awesome.
Guys are fucking horrible. Guys are horrible. You have no idea how much I hate boys. Like boys, there's nothing worse than a little boy thinking he's a man and saying man shit to his friends and being a grown man and hearing it. It makes my skin boil. Like, because I was that guy. I was definitely that guy. I heard this guy in Lexington, Kentucky. That is white privilege, bro. Yeah. That is like, that's white people. They're like the fucking infinity stone of white people. Like, seersucker suits and sundresses with big smiles that have never seen anything bad. Like,
right. And that's how you know. And they would be the first ones to say they're not racist, but they never had a chance to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know they are. I was talking to my dad once, and he was saying, and there's no black people in the town I grew up in. And he said,
wow, what's the name of that town? What do they call that? Utopia?
And there was, I think my brother, ended up being a black girl, and one of my brothers ended up dating her. And I said, you know, do you find yourself thinking, hey, am I racist? Because it's kind of weird. I'm walking with the only black person in the whole town. And he said, well, I was in church, and I thought, and I saw people will notice there's a black person here, and I felt bad about it. And I said, so did you start thinking, hey, she's really standing out to me, I might be racist? And then he goes, what? I'm not racist. Where would that even come from? I didn't say that. And I'm like, okay, nobody said anything. You were just weirded out that there was a black girl in church.
Have you ever dated a black chick?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Like as an adult or
as an adult?
Really?
20s, yeah.
See, I say that wasn't an option for me, but it genuinely wasn't an option, meaning I went to a school that was all white. By the way, I didn't really meet an Asian person until I moved to New York. Actually, in L.A., I said this to Bobby Lee. I found out in L.A., I'm probably 30 years old, 28 years old. I find out that Japanese people could not understand Chinese people at all. I thought it was a little bit like Italian and Spanish, like pantalones, pantaloni. In L.A., I found that out.
I kind of want to hug you because if not, somebody should smack you.
But it's the truth. I'm not.
I know it's funny where our ignorance shows its face.
But ignorance isn't ignorance. It doesn't, just because you're ignorant doesn't mean you're hateful.
Right. Well, the reason why people call ignorance hateful is because sometimes you have a lot of time to figure it out and you opt out.
That's me. Like me just like not caring, you mean?
Well, you just, let's say
apathy. I think I always had ignorance attached to apathy, where I was like, huh? Oh, whatever. I don't care.
Well, if somebody, let's say, hates your joke and says, hey, dude, that's all it is offensive. And all you say is like, fuck you, you snowflake, you know, instead of being like, maybe my joke could be better. I figure like, because I think rape jokes could be hilarious. Just say it from the hilarious part. Say it from the part that's true. So I always think like, let's say Joe Rogan fans who are huge, what's the fighting thing? UFC. So there could be jokes against those guys just going like, oh, they're all meatheads, they're all, you know, and then the joke would come from that. But it's not true when you don't take into account the discipline that comes in with that and the physique that comes with that, and you tell your ignorant joke. People aren't going to laugh and are going to be offended, not because your joke is stupid. That's all. Your joke doesn't lie in the truth, so it ends up falling flat. Am I making sense?
I know. I had a girl at Gotham one time. I used to have this joke. I might be the closing joke of that special. Was guys, you know what girls hate when you. Something about blowjobs. Oh, you know, guys, you know what girls hate when you grab them by the back of the head and you just force them down. It's pretty funny. You should try it once. You see the look on their face. They're like, oh, what are we playing, a game? What is it? And then I was like, I tried the sensitive approach where I slide it in her mouth while she's sleeping. And then,
oh, Jesus.
And I go, oh, they spook like a racehorse. Just, like, shh, you're dreaming. You're snorkeling in the Keys. Feel the fish bouncing off your chin. I told that joke. It's a joke. You just write it. You're like, it makes you laugh. You write it. Tell it on a special, tell it as a throwaway, needing a joke in the moment in Gotham, and a girl comes up and says, you're a rape sympathizer. I said, what? By the way, I'm not a rape sympathizer. I never empathize with someone who rapes people. She goes, no, you rape people. You raped your wife. And I went, I've never raped my wife. And she goes, that joke is a rape joke. And in that joke, you rape your wife. And you're promoting rape. You're promoting rape culture. And I went, hold on. Now, what happened is everyone attacked her. Like, everyone around her was like, oh, it's a fucking joke. Get the fuck out of here, you dumb bitch. Women, hard as fuck on this chick. This chick's shaking. She's so angry. All I'm seeing in that moment, and I know this is not going to be popular with my fans, but like all I'm seeing in that moment is this is a woman who heard a joke I told, I didn't mean to fuck her night up. I meant for her to laugh. Had a different reaction. Helped me understand that reaction. And by the way, you definitely have an open ear here. I think you could have, I think we could have had a conversation a little more if you had, I mean, I can't, there's no affecting your reaction, but the conversation definitely could have been had if you said, hey, do you mind if I talk to you about one of your jokes? And explained it to me. I would have been like, fuck. By the way, I've never told that joke since. Only because I thought, my job isn't to go in and ruin someone's night. My job is for everyone to laugh. I want everyone to laugh. If someone comes out going like, oh my God, you just reminded me of the worst day of my fucking life. And in my head, I was like, clearly someone shoved his dick in her mouth while she was sleeping. Clearly that happened. I mean,
who hasn't it happened to, right, everybody? Huh? No, you don't have the same experience as me?
Well, I think right now there's a lot of people listening going, that's ridiculous. That would have never happened. There's a lot of guys listening going, I've never done that to a woman. That's why I think it's funny. Does that make sense?
Have you never done that to a woman?
Oh, are you being serious?
Oh, that
have you ever done that to a woman? No, man. A lot. I would say 90% of the men have never done that to stuck their dick in her mouth while she's sleeping.
I would say that happened to 90% of the women that I know.
No
I know
way.
all parts of that joke. Absolutely. This is totally normal what you're saying.
I didn't know this.
I didn't know that either.
Oh, yeah.
Halston, have you ever?
That's a move you get.
That's a joke?
No, like
the joke is I'm gonna come eventually.
Like face fucking, just sticking your penis while you're sleeping.
Wait, so you've had a guy put his dick in your mouth while you were asleep?
Not that one, but what's the other part of the joke? Oh, definitely like move my head down there.
Well,
Like,
I think every guy's
yeah.
done that in a joke way, like
no,
your wife's,
not in a joke way. Like that's how you're getting blown.
Oh, wait, hold on. I've done it like to my wife when she's like, hey, can we talk about I need to talk to you about Georgia school, and I was like, sure, I'll definitely listen. And then I grab her in the back of the head and she goes, oh, are you fucking joking? And that's a joke. I think that every guy connects with the joke part of that. I've definitely, and I would say there's
no, that's a move. Like you remember it used to be like, oh, you're in the movie theater and you yawn and then all of a sudden your hand is around someone's.
Yeah.
It's on par with that.
No, it's not on par with that.
It's on par.
The yawn move, I know you had to have done the yawn move because we learned it in a movie.
I yawn and then go for the thigh.
Oh no! Oh, I did the. I think it was in Greece. We all learned it in Greece.
Right.
And then you put your arm around and you're like,
Yeah.
I just got to first base.
Yeah, I mean,
but I don't
that's
think
cute.
Yeah, that is innocuous. The yawn to put your arm around a girl is innocuous.
Yeah, I get it.
If you grab a girl by the back of the head and force her onto your cock, like tap or snap bitch, then that is hardcore rape. And I do not think that 90% of the guys have been like, oh no, you're getting this. Like over the top with Sylvester Stallone, like I can't imagine.
No, you don't need to put that much force into it.
So wait, hold on. Well, then maybe that's an option. Like if I could do it without that much arm strength.
Yeah.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Hi, welcome to being female. Yes, all of it. Yes.
So that's the thing I think that we got clumped in with. Like I would never, ever, I was raised when a girl says no, then that is over. Everything is over.
Were you really, like when you think about it, were you really raised like that? Because I wasn't, and we were raised in the same way. So,
yeah, 100%.
So like you might have been raised where your mom said that, right? But,
no.
But TV didn't say that.
No. Rejection for me was what dictated it. If a girl said no, I had felt such a sense of rejection and humiliation that I shut down, and I was like, cool.
So that's your response to rejection and humiliation. A lot of guys' response to rejection and humiliation is to take it anyway, because then you're not rejected and humiliated because you're already there. Your dick's like so close to me, right?
Oh, I've definitely had the vibrations of when you're in the middle of hooking up with someone, and and you're like so fucking turned on,
Yeah.
and you're like, all right, I'm definitely going to the bathroom to jack off. Like if this is stopping, that's cool, but I'm shaking right now. Like,
Oh, I feel you.
yeah, I've been there, but I would never I would never take it from somebody like that.
I don't think people see it as taking at that point. I think, and we've heard this in court and in, in the newspaper and everything. It's like, well, weren't you naked next to this guy? Weren't you making out? Weren't you already touching his balls? Like, wow, what's the difference if his dick is inside of you? And I could list the reasons why that wouldn't happen. Although, yeah, to me, of course it's a given we're about to have sex until I go, you know what? Your kissing is so annoying. You're touching me and I'm like, this isn't going well, and I know the next step is sex, but if you're so bad at this, or if we're not clicking this, I don't want to go to that next place. Although sometimes I have, just to see if that would get better. But they can take it anyway. And then what argument do you have? You were right there. You were definitely wet, because you're getting turned on, and even though this is turning you off, you're still in a sex mode. Just like you can be hard, but there could be things that turn you off, but you still be hard.
No, but once I get turned off, my dick goes down. Like once something, like if
well, pussies don't just dry up.
No, right. That I don't understand that. But like my wife said something to me the other day, crawled over, cuddled with me, put her leg on my junk, and it started getting hard. And then she said something that was, I don't know what it was, but it was responsibility induced. And my dick just went soft. And she went, wait, what happened to him? I was like, I'm out of it. You lost me. Like, I'm not there anymore.
You have to bring up that cupboard.
Yeah, it's Jesus.
It'll close eventually.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I do assume there are men that their instinct reaction is, I mean, there clearly are men whose rejection brings them anger, I guess.
Right.
I would assume that's not the norm, but I can't say that.
I mean, how do we assume that it's not the norm when it's like every woman has had something taken from her sexually?
Yeah.
Do you know what
by
I
the
mean?
way, I said that one time to a friend of mine. I won't say the friend's name. Every girl I've ever dated has dealt with a sexual assault. Not everyone. I can't say that. It's like 2 of them I never had the conversation about. I've only dated 6 chicks in my life. I've only had sex with 6 chicks. I've only dated, I think, 4. And so, but everyone had dealt with sexual assault. And I assumed that was outrageously high, considering, I was like, that's fucking ridiculous. I said it to my friend. I said something about rape. And I said, I assume almost every woman's had to deal with that. She was like, you're out of your fucking mind. And I was like, she's a very well-known comic. And I was like, what? She's like, that does not happen to everyone. It's very rare. And I went, oh, in my head, I was like, whatever. And I was like, you know what? Not my conversation. I'm out. Walked away.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes
I'm not going to disagree with her. I'm not going to argue numbers that I can only make up in my head. Yeah, I feel like when I read the Aziz Ansari thing, I was shocked that men behave that way. And because apparently a lot of women said that that's how men behave. That's their experience. I would never in a million fucking years put my fingers in a woman's vagina and then put them in her mouth. That is
really
never in a million fucking years.
I don't see why not.
Oh, I think that's like asking a guy to taste his own cum. I just wouldn't do it.
I don't see why not.
I would do it during sex
It's
making,
dirty.
but he wasn't reading anything.
That's the thing. It's not that I don't want to taste my own pussy.
Oh.
It's you can do that.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh. I was having sex with my wife the other day. This is fucking horrible. I can't believe I'm sharing this much. I was having sex with my wife the other day.
And all I had was a spoon.
And then I said, I want to finish in your mouth, whatever. And, I feel embarrassed even saying it, but because people know my wife, and I feel weird talking sex talk.
Are you good at it in this situation, or do you say or whatever?
That's why I've only had sex with 6 chicks, because I am so bad at that part. I'm so bad at I want to finish in your mouth or whatever. Like that just fucking makes me uncomfortable.
Or wherever you like, if you want to swallow.
It's good that you still do it.
What?
It's good that you still say it.
I
get
say
over it.
Yeah, she's a really cool chick, and we have a very open, trying to figure out things relationship since we started. I think she gets what's wrong with me, and I she's normal, but like, but she said, yeah, this is how conversational sex is. Yeah, I get that, but I wish I was the girl that could just put that in my mouth now, but I would love for you to clean it first. And I was like, and in my head I was like, totally understandable. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, it's just funny you carry wet wipes now everywhere.
But like, are you like, well, oh, you're married. When was the last time you had a one night stand?
I'm not married now. I had a divorce.
That's right.
as well.
That's right.
So I can do whatever the fuck I want, bro. Whenever I want.
How quick were you back in the saddle?
When I had my own place, I knew, okay, this is for real.
Really?
Yeah.
And now, I would say you are, if not woke, I would definitely say you're like 2004 woke.
I'm pretty awake.
I'm probably 1993 woke. But like, so like, how what's it navigating a one night stand?
I just don't be raping.
No, but like,
every man is worried. It feels like I'm one of the only men not worried. Did you ask for permission? Yes. Okay.
But like,
you know the difference talking to women.
But if she's drunk, that's now rape.
Right. Then don't go out with her drunk.
But yeah, but if you go out and a girl has a few drinks and she wants to have sex, do you really go, no, you're in no condition to accept this?
I bring a breathalyzer.
It's attached to my dick.
I know.
Here, let me help your head down.
It would depend, I mean, I guess. I think I'm pretty good at it, I was with a woman that drank a bottle of wine, didn't seem too much. Then you're with a girl that has 2 glasses and she's stumbling. Don't mess around with the stumbling one.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I agreed with that in 9th grade.
See?
That's how fucking woke I am.
And the guys know. The guys know when they take home a stumbling girl. They know they shouldn't be. They know what they're doing.
No, let's.
There's not confusion there, is what I'm saying. When you see, I'll see on the internet and guys being like, "Oh, I can't just say a woman has a nice dress." Like, all of a sudden we're all fashion experts. We're Ralph Lauren over here. How are they gonna know their dress gave me a hard on? Like, you know what you can and can't say. Or when you said smile to somebody, it wouldn't be when it's just your guy friends or when you're alone. It'd be when you're with your girlfriend. And you're like, look how nice I am to people. It'd be when you're with your mother. Hey, we just wanted to tell you, nice dress, right, Ma? Hey, look how I was raised, Ma.
Yeah.
No, because it's a fucking move. You're being an asshole. It's wrong.
My buddy one time, I called him out because he called himself out, in all fairness. A girl was speaking Italian behind us, and he turned around and started speaking Italian back to her. And he turns around and he goes, "Oh, I speak Italian too." And she went, "Cool." And then we got in the car and I was like, can you imagine if just a girl just turned around while we were having a conversation and just goes, "I speak English." We could not stop fucking laughing at that. So how have you guys ever been approached to do traditional radio?
Yeah, Sirius brought it up briefly. I forget what happened, honestly.
We forget to pursue things like that.
Is it just not like,
obviously the offer wouldn't have been good enough, right? But for whatever reason,
if they said nationally syndicated show, would you go nationally syndicated show?
If they said, here's a bunch of pies and all the money and nice things, yeah, sure, we'd consider it.
What would that deal look like?
I don't know.
What if they said, I'll do these, I'll do real numbers right now.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how much you guys make. I'll do real numbers right now. So like, say they said, here's a deal. Per episode.
All right, done. Yeah.
Oh, we're not good. There's something in your eyes. It looked good. It was like a game show, and I want to get on it quick.
Say they said per episode, we'll give you per week, 50 weeks a year, we're going to sign you guys to a $3 million contract, each of you. Do you leave the podcast entirely? Then they say, what we need you to do is we need you to burn it to the ground. We need you to say goodnight, keeping the girl over. We're changing the name to...
I'm already saying no because you're an idiot. Like, whoever's going to...
Right. I don't trust this $3 million.
We're changing the name of the show to Chemda and the Guy. and do you take the
I'm going to have to pay people $3 million to learn how to say the name of the show.
How great would that be, though?
How long's the contract? $3 million for what? A year?
1 year.
Nah.
$3 million, 5-year contract. You're set. That's $15 million. You do not have to work again.
Maybe it would raise the flag that you wanted me to burn the podcast to the ground, because that feels like you're making dumb deals.
But they're just saying we want to introduce you to an audience of 20 million people. And we want them to feel like we found you. So we want you to scrub the online. We're going to scrub online for you. There will never have been a Keith and the Girl. There will never be this backlog. Oh, we're going to take everything down.
Oh, Jesus.
But you start brand new.
Oh, God.
Your fans will know that you're making a transition.
Well,
you
we
can share this with your fans.
We could say yes and then leak it out anyway, right?
It'll get to everybody, right?
Yeah, I mean, people have it,
Yeah.
so somebody will put it somewhere.
Someone could get it. Will be an internet secret.
Oh, 3,000 episodes just gone.
Just gone. Best episodes, best moments of the show. Let's walk us through the best moments of your show where you're like, oh, this is fucking gold right now.
I would be like, this is my way into being a Buddhist. I let go of everything.
Oh, I wish I could let go of everything.
Do we get our shows back after the 5 years?
Oh, good question. I'm glad you were in this meeting, Keith.
Yeah.
At the end of 5 years, you get your shows back. But remember, it's been 5 years. Not a word. You walked away from it like Michael Jordan when he went to play baseball. Mm-hmm. And
did we forget
Michael
that
Jordan
he played
was a basketball player? He used to.
Thank you, Bert.
It's called mansplaining. It's one of my favorite things to do in the world. By the way, mansplaining is so natural to men, you have no idea. Even me telling you have no idea is a mansplanation. But like, it's the men are from Venus, women are from Mars. Men love to explain shit. My friend said to my wife, this is my favorite the wokest moment I've ever had. My wife said to my friend, oh my God, I have a great idea. And he said, I have a better idea. He hadn't even heard her idea, and he had a better idea. And I started giggling so hard, and I just gotten high, and it was a big Sunday thing. Everyone's around, and everyone's like, "What are you laughing at so hard?" I go, "She never told you her idea." And he goes, "No, but I don't need to hear it." Like, and he was like, being dead serious. I don't need to hear it. I know what she's gonna say. And I was like, "Oh my God, how great is this?" My wife, just typical female soldier, did not fight back and just went, "This is part of what it's like to be fucking part of the fucking underappreciated in the society." She's like, "What's your idea?" He told her his idea, and it was the worst idea I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Well, thank God you didn't even hear hers. You couldn't respect her if it was worse.
Yeah.
Someone did that. There was a guy who wanted to be our manager for a minute, and I told him, a bunch of ideas that we had coming up, and one of them is we have this long weekend of events every single year. And so that was coming up. I was telling him all about it, how we produce several shows, all that kind of stuff. Down the line, like a week or two later, he goes, "Okay, I want to start working with you guys. Follow me on this. What do you guys think of having a week-long events?" And he's describing what I described to him.
And then says, "We'll do it around April 15th, Keith's birthday," which is the whole point that I do that. I do a stand-up show. We do Keith and the Girl shows around it. This is all his idea, that date and everything.
I just looked at the phone. I'm just like, I guess we can't sign with you because you're crazy.
I'm like, do we owe you 1% of what we've been doing now?
That's been super fun though, because Keith, not only like he's a dude, he also towers over me. But so
yeah,
people,
you are tall.
Thank you. Thank you.
People,
you didn't have anything to do with that. I got a better idea.
Everything affects everything, I didn't have not something.
Well, people see him and they expect him to be the go-to guy. Meanwhile, they've been emailing. I usually produce our live events.
So how does that work with the two of you? Like, do you share the responsibility? Are you just a team, or does one of you drive forward and the other one's like, I don't think there's any but usually there's one person who's like super A-type personality, and then someone who's more free-spirited.
Chemda takes care of the bookings and
you book all the
organizations.
Who did you set this up?
In a way, like, well, we're on Starburns Audio with our new podcast.
What's Starburns?
It used to be Feral.
Oh, they changed.
Well, the head guy went a little bit.
The guy got a little not woke.
Yeah.
Wait, what did he do? Drop an N-bomb?
No.
He broke into an ex's place and went in her bed and really
Into
harassed her.
Lexus?
An ex.
An ex's. Sorry, an ex's.
I thought you said like broke into a Lexus dealership, and I was like,
No,
we did
worse.
that one time. So wait, so then he got.
So, I don't remember the details of it, but
I don't care to know. I don't need to know
They
the
kicked him
details.
out of his own network, and so now it's Starburns. It's the one that Dan Harmontown's on. And
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. It's out on. I don't need to tell the address. I think Dan Harmon's office is there. But yeah, that's. So you guys are over there now?
We're over there while we're in LA. They're giving us some studio time, but we're still recording in New York.
We do our spin-off show, My Opening Line, about comedians' first times on stage. So while we're here, they're letting us use the studio.
We're doing your podcast next, right?
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah.
Are we doing here?
Yes.
Okay, good.
He's like, I don't have to leave.
I was like, I don't want to have to go to Dan Harmon's fucking place. Dan Harmon's an interesting guy. He did a really great bounce back on that sexism shit.
Yes.
I was like, that's a manual on how to apologize, how to listen, how to understand. And I think that every guy, I think even Dan will admit that was a little aggressive what he did. I don't think every guy does that, but you give someone power, you never fucking know. I got in trouble with Travel Channel for sexual harassment because I didn't know you couldn't sexually harass guys as a joke. Like
What'd you get in trouble for?
I didn't, not even trouble, but it was just someone said, hey man, you got to stop doing that. Like anytime there was a new guy on set, I'd be like, hey man, will you watch me shower tonight? And we're all laughing. Everyone would laugh except for this one poor guy didn't know I wasn't gay. I didn't realize it. I just thought he knew I wasn't gay. It was a joke. And just one guy went up to our producer and was like, hey, that made me feel really uncomfortable. And our producer's like, for what? Our producer was a woman. And he's like, I don't want to go watch him shower. She's like, he's joking. He's a comedian.
Then say no. Then tell him no.
Yeah, and he was like, oh, okay. Because we used to play a game called...
Who Wants to Shower Me?
Nope.
And it was real.
10 times better. You want to play? It's called Not Sexual Harassment or Not Sexual Harassment. This is a game.
Sounds like a safe space.
But it was like, I don't know. I guess now you can't argue. Now you can't say everyone was cool. That's all. Like back then you would just be like, we're all cool, we're all friends, we've been on the road for 4 years together,
right.
We're like a family, everyone was cool. You can't say that anymore because I guess not everyone was cool. You just didn't know that. You didn't like you can't assume because y'all bust balls that everyone likes it, you know. And I'm not saying, trust me, I've been on the receiving end of busting balls where it hurt. And
yeah, so, I guess that's the same thing as that guy coming into your frat and clearing the couches, and you're like, I guess I got to do this now.
He's like, we're brothers. This is what we do.
Yeah.
We fucking wrestle. Who gives a fuck?
Right.
So nobody would have known that you're like, fuck this.
Yeah. There was a guy called in our fraternity that, let's just call him Powder, who was very pale. And, you know, part of the ritual that when he took a shower, we all just slapped him so that he had red hit marks all over him. I definitely was guilty of doing it once, but the next time I noticed that he showered in the middle of the fucking night, and I went, ooh, I bet he doesn't like that when 20 dudes slap him at once. And so, but you just go, oh, it's what we do to Powder. Sometimes we penny him in his room, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, you know, I think part of it's the conversation you have with people. It's my whole point is listening. But it sucks because, you know, you get people in groups. I'm doing a joke right now about my daughters very differently approached getting their periods. The one you met
loves it.
No, she was it really tore her down. She was like, I'm no longer a child. And that we had we got her period and we just got in the pool and we all jumped in and she couldn't go swimming. And I was like, oh, the fucking responsibility of a woman. Like she's turning, this is her child. Yeah. And then my other one loved it. She loved it and she threw herself a period party. And so, no, I'm not even joking. Like we made a red velvet cake and had pasta with marinara sauce. And
she drew dicks on all the walls.
She named her period. So my other daughter, they called her period Flo, you know, because that's what women, you know. And so my other daughter heard her call it Flo and assumed they named it, you know, like, so she's like, I want to name mine. My other daughter walked into her period like Carrie. She was like, fuck yeah, like loved it. And so, but it's this is her. This is the one who's moonwalking. This is the one who loved her period.
I'll ask her.
Do not bring it up. Do not bring it up. Do not. What?
Where's Georgia?
She went to walk to someone's house.
What?
Wait, are you here by yourself?
No, Mom's here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, bye. She got her period on Friday the 13th,
Oh my
3 weeks
God.
ago, and named her period Jason Voorhees.
Hilarious.
Yeah, if you brought it up, she would be livid with me. She doesn't know that I'm talking about it on the podcast, but I'm figuring that when she gets old enough to hear it on the podcast, she will be like, oh, you know, that's everyone gets their period. But at 11 years old, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I was mad that my mother told my father and next door neighbor, I'm like, it's coming out of my vagina. And now I'm like, yeah, who gives a shit?
Well, yeah, it's one of those things. Like I said to them, it was so funny. We were laughing so hard. I said to them, hey, can I talk about this on stage? And Isla was like, I don't know. And I said, well, I think it's going to be funny, and I won't do it disrespectful. And my wife's like, guys, I think it's fine. Every girl gets their period, and my daughter's like, it's fine. But then there's things that are off limits on stage that I just can't even bring up. How long have we been going? 1:48. We should probably wrap this up and start yours so that you're not stuck here all day. Are you cool with that?
I'm having fun either way.
Yeah, okay.
Also, they can both jump in the pool with their periods without anything protecting them. The water makes it stop.
Yeah, well.
Just a little life hack.
It's more of a dad rule. I just don't want to swim in period blood. So no, I'm joking. I think it's because there's a pad in there.
Yeah, she doesn't have to. You can take it off and just jump in the pool. It won't show.
Oh, well, I will share that with them. And they're going to be like, wait, how did you find out this? Oh. I have this Iranian Iraqi friend named Chemda. See, I fucked it up. I fucked it up. I told you I'd fuck it up. So wait, let's real quick, let's fire around and wrap this podcast up. Podcasts you hate. Go ahead. Start with Joe Rogan. Go. No. I'm kidding. But there had to be like, when you guys were such a beginner of the pioneers that you had to see people come in and just go like roll your eyes and go, are you fucking kidding me?
I think it's why we started. I was hearing shows and I was like, this is no good and this isn't what this can be.
But like when you started hearing like guys like I'm trying to think of someone that is innocuous, that will never hear this. Like when you started hearing about celebrities getting podcasts and doing podcasts, Katie Couric, like that podcast is horrific.
Did you hear it?
Oh yeah, I fucking listened to it today. I'm a podcast fan, like a legit podcast fan. I literally should do a podcast just recapping podcasts from the week.
You should.
Oh, I love podcasts. I love them. It's my favorite medium. And Katie Couric's podcast is a nightmare.
But you still listen to it?
Oh, I used to. I'd stop because she'd be like, I have Benjamin Netanyahu on. I was like, holy shit. She sits down with Benjamin Netanyahu and she's like, hold on, he's on the phone. Benny, are you there? And he's like, hello. And you're like, oh, it's a fucking, you're holding your phone to the mic. Anna Faris. I love Anna Faris. I love Anna Faris. I love her first half of her podcast, but the fact that she chops it into two, it infuriates me. Because I go, I understand someone understands how ratings work, and that if you release two on one day, your numbers are going to skyrocket. I get it. Don't fucking cheat the system, Anna. You're a good podcaster. Like that fucking drove me nuts. I knew it had to drive you nuts when you watch those cheat codes in these, and you're like I was a part of the cheat code. Do you know that you used to get more downloads if your podcast was longer?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, it's the only reason my podcast was like number 13 on the comedy charts. It was, and I was like, whoa. And then I was like, my fans love these 6-hour podcasts. It's because that every time people would go to start up listening again, it counted as a download. And then Libsyn changed the format, and so those don't count.
Huh. I didn't know that.
You guys are like fucking Bill Burr. Bill Burr is oblivious to how a podcast charts, rates, why people listen. He just does his own fucking thing in his own drum cabin.
You know what? Every time I try thinking of that, it goes anti. It just even in the smallest way, it backfires. Like we had what is her stupid fucking name?
Oh, well, let me guess.
Somebody on, she had we had to book her for like a minute, and she was like, oh, this person has a lot of followers, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, let's do it. But she doesn't understand what podcasting is, and she was on The View, and she feels she's very special, and you feel like you're better than me, and you can be better than me. I'll interview you about that, but she's just combative the whole time, and it's just...
I won't take celebrities. I won't take celebrities because they come in and they're like, so what is this? Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, it's a lot more fucking people listening than you'd ever imagine, and they're all gonna hate your fucking guts.
Right. That's the thing. They don't even know that they're going counterintuitive. Like, what are you doing?
Right. You're doing it, so why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, our listeners, because the thing is we could love you.
You're doing it. Why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just do it all the way. Act like you want to be here. You're here.
My favorite one of those, let's go back to back with different guests and different weird vibes or fun vibes. It doesn't have to be weird, fun, weird, bad.
What was her asshole name?
Michelle Collins.
Oh, there it is.
Who's Michelle Collins?
Thank you.
Bobby Flay came in to do my podcast. Me and Bobby get drunk in Houston, and he's like,
You and the cooking thing is like my heart.
oh my God, why didn't we do them while you're out here?
We were, your person got in touch, and I'm not sure if we can. I don't know. We'd love to.
I would love to have you guys on. Oh my God, I'd love to have you guys on. I would love to have you guys on. Please, 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 let's make that happen.
I know that we're not cooking with you, but I want to cook with you.
Oh my God, you know what I'd make right out of the back. I'm so
falafel?
unwoke. Oh my, of course I make falafels. Out of the box. Out of the box, water stirred. Focusing on hot sauce so someone shits on the back of his toilet. I have Bobby Flay on here, and I said to Bobby, we're drinking, and I'm like walking through podcasts. We both know what our viewerships are on our TV shows, and I'm telling her listenership, and I'm explaining that technically in the demographic, I am reaching the exact same amount of people that my TV show at the time. Now I'm way past any TV show on Travel Channel.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh,
and it's people who are really hearing. They're not just because even your TV show, and I'm not knocking it. Of course,
you can. It's over. I don't work at Travel Channel anymore. I got fired.
Well,
yeah,
short-sighted assholes.
Yeah. And by the way, I know they're listening right now. And I think we all could agree that I'm so grateful I'm not at that network anymore, only because I've had the opportunity to grow so much more. But go ahead, what you were saying.
I was just saying, like on TV, people could even just flip to your channel, flip through it, be walking.
Yeah.
But podcasts, you are listening.
Bobby Flay comes in. This is like beginning of my podcast, maybe 40 episodes in, right?
Wow.
And I tell him to give him the address, and he comes in, and I see him in my front yard looking around in a suit, like looking around, like, and I am in pajama pants and a t-shirt, and I'm like, Bobby, and he's like, hey, he's like, is your office or is your studio around here? And I said, it's in the back. He goes, oh, okay. And then I bring him back here, and we just sit on a couch. This is when I had handheld mics, and I realized I don't know how to interview anybody. I just want to hang, and Bobby's like waiting to, like, he's so not used to the format. And then I was like, if you go back and listen to that episode, it is me so not prepared for the moment, like not knowing how to just fly by the seat of my pants and just try to have a conversation. That was a crazy one. I've had people in here that like I have no interest in, and you can see it.
See, that's why it's like, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're not going to, like, it doesn't matter how many Twitter followers you have. Sometimes even that's misleading, like sometimes you have a small amount of Twitter followers, but people just love you. We just want to talk to people we have a good time with. And you're
going to love my interview. I am so much better of a guest than I am host. Like the initial idea for this podcast was me just being the guest every time and bringing in people to interview me, because it's part of what we talked about at lunch, me and my wife, is that I'm a narcissist, or not a narcissist, but I've got hints of it. And one of the things is like, you always think you're so much more interesting than everyone else. And instead of hearing that and going, that's not me, I went, hold on, that's actually true. And my wife went, okay, I think you got that then. But yeah, wait, did you ever have guests that blew up on you and you're just like, we can't release this episode?
Because they blew up. If you blew up on us, we're extra releasing that episode.
I've had a guest where I won't say their name.
Right.
I will after this.
Okay.
And by the way, I would never say their name. I had a guest who had worked with someone that was very popular. The work relationship did not go well, and they came on and they trashed top to bottom that person. I'm sitting right where you're sitting, and I'm like going, I'm about to be the #1 podcast in the world. Everyone's listening to this. And in the middle, they said, I don't want to do this. Can you not release it? And I was like, in my head, I was like, you're a human being. Like, if anyone ever tells me to take anything out, I always take it out. Like, I don't ever, it goes back to why I don't say the R word really, or ever really, but it's because I don't want someone's association with me to be the worst day of their life. Like, I never want that to happen.
Yeah, it becomes a distraction of sorts.
Yeah, like I did one with Kevin Brennan. You know Kevin Brennan?
Yeah, he hates everything.
Yeah, and he came in and trashed everyone. brother, you name it, just down the line, including the head of Netflix. And my special's coming on Netflix, and I was like, I'm not releasing that until I talk to the guy at Netflix and go, hey, just so you know, this is what's said, because I don't want that guy to hear that and go, fuck Bert. Like you know. So, but who's like the.
Well, Chemda and I will definitely. There's been more than one interview where we look at each other like, okay, we're just gonna ignore him, right? Like they're leaning in the chair, not giving a fuck, and it's like, well, I don't need you, and so we'll just talk around them, and they'll figure out to jump in or not.
Really?
We've done that.
Yeah.
And then we'll see on our forums they love the guests and like, oh, you have no fucking idea. You didn't. Loved us.
Did you know Ari before you brought him in?
No, I don't know how we got into Ari's. Oh my God. I think he just likes poking at me when he's on.
Oh.
Like one time he goes, I love your responses. And I'm like, that's why you keep doing that.
Oh.
Like one time I slapped him on the show.
I saw that.
I asked him if it was okay. That was so much fun because he's so cool about things. He's talking about how he goes to Thailand, he's choking women. And I'm like, Ari, come on.
He's one of those, he does like to do that. Like, so this morning I choked a bitch. What was that, Ari? What?
Yeah.
What? I
would,
choked a bitch. Why wouldn't you just assume that there was other stuff that makes it okay?
It's one of the things, like I would say me, him, and Segura overlap fans. I think all our fans aggregate from the same area. We overlap fans. We have fans that don't know anything about like Rogan, Segura, Ari. I have those fans. And then they have fans that don't know anything about us. But we overlap fans. And his outliers are the ones that would have fought tooth and nail with you about anything that is like woke or trying to hear the other side of the point. That's not Ari. Like he's just like, no, why would I do that? Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. Sis, no, you're the this or that. No. Like that's Ari. Right. But as much as I love interacting and talking with you guys and hearing things, I love hearing him too. I like hearing all the voices, you know?
I like hearing Ari. I'm not going to agree with everything he says.
I won't agree with 90% of the shit he says.
But
Jurassic Park is fun. You know, I like all different kinds.
Yeah, but Jurassic Park is fun.
But he'll listen. If you have a point and you're not yelling at him, he'll change. I've seen him change his mind, and that's why I love talking to him, because he'll have some toxic masculinity, some old school thinking, but he'll update it if you are reasonable and have like, I don't know, hand it to him, I guess.
Me, him, and Tom went to Atlanta for the national championships, and
he also helped me do acid. Continue.
Really? Of course he helped you do acid.
Really?
There's a handful of things Ari is really good for, and that's definitely one of them. Possibly ruining a marriage. He's also really good at that. We went to the national championship game, and I love Instagram. I like being on Instagram. I don't have a problem with it at all. I know I'm 45. I know I shouldn't, but I like it. And we had this great moment in a liquor store in Southwest Atlanta, all black neighborhood, all black employees, and they're listening to Kiss. They're listening to Prince, I Will Die For You. And they're all singing along and they're dancing. And I just decided to record the moment. And I do this thing. I think it is attached to narcissism in some way, but where I just fucking I override the moment. I just make it bigger than it needs to be, but everyone goes along with it. And both Ari and Tom are like, why would you videotape something? Just stop. Live in the moment. That's the way their brains work. But I'm like, no, let's create a moment. So I videotape it. We all laugh. We post it. Ari's like, you need to get off your phone. You need to get off social media. Social media it's an addiction. It's worse than alcohol and food for you. It's an addiction. You need to get off it. So then we go.
It's like Ari's here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've spent a lot of time with Ari. I love him like a brother. Do not bring him up to my wife. And so we're in the Atlanta airport. We walk into the Admirals Club in at the Atlanta airport, and an older black gentleman. And when I say older, I mean like, why has he got to be black? Only because it's not our demographic. That's why he's black in this story. Just to give you a heads up. Why is he older? Because once again, he's not in our demographic. White hair, white goatee. We walk in, and the first thing he says is, "Oh, the machine!" And I went, "Hey!" And he goes, "I saw you dancing in a liquor store in Atlanta." And Ari went, "What?" And he goes, "Hey, you were dancing with him. What's your name?" And Ari's like, "Ari." And he's like, "Oh, that's great, man. Hey, I love following you on Instagram." And Ari, when I sat down at the bar, and he goes, "That was wrong. Your social media is like your TV show. Like, why would that guy ever know who you are? Like, He watches your Instagram. Like, can you believe that? Can you believe that? Give me that one hitter. And took the one hitter, the vape pen out of my pocket, hits it in the Atlanta airport. And he goes, I was totally wrong. Don't ever get off social media. Like but he is self-correcting in that way.
By the way, speaking of the machine, was the guy's name John, your friend that you went behind the bar with?
Yeah.
I only say that because in the animation,
Yeah.
John at the end is wearing a Keith and the Girl shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Become My Minions is his name.
That's
the guy
right.
that created that.
Yeah.
He's
amazing. But yeah.
Fuck yeah. Well, let's wrap this up and let's do yours.
Okay.
You guys cool?
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk shit about Marin at all?
I don't
Okay, well
mind
then
him.
we'll keep it off air. We'll keep it off air.
He was
If
always
you guys
nice.
if you guys don't like him and you don't want to say it on air, that's totally fine. I love him, Mark. I think you're a great guy. Fine, it's totally cool.
He's never hurt our feelings.
Just kidding. I made that up totally. But I do hope that someone isolates that audio and sends it to Mark Maron, just so that when I run him this audio, hey, what did they say about me? Fucking awesome. Thank you so much for doing this podcast, guys.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it.